with the brick stack high. Lego Batman swoops, lighting up the sky. Legacy of the Dark Knight, looking so fine. Got that reggae rhythm, games divine. Click clack, plastic capes in the breeze. Villains trembling, falling to their knees. From Arkham's ashes, a Lego star's born. This game's so hot, it's Rasta reborn. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rasta cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Batarang snapping, built from Lego blocks. Penguins waddling, but he's out of stock. Suicide Squad tried, but he crashed and burned. Should've been like this, man, lessons learned. GTA 6, Vice City's looking shook. Lego Batman's got 'em shook in their books. A toy game taking Arkham's holy grail. That's the capes winning, that's the funny tale. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rasta cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Yo, Rocksteady, what happened, man? Your squad game flop, left us all withdrawn. Lego's got the mantle, carrying the flame. A brick built Batman running the game. GTA 6 calling, yo, we're scared. Lego Bruce Wayne got 'em unprepared. Jah bless the bricks, this game's the one. 2026, Batman's having too much fun. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Fade out with the bass in the Gotham light. Lego Batman, Irie taking flight.
Neil has a lot more money than you. He's better than us, we're poor.
Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow.
Everyone prepare your grapes.
A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay.
And your rats, too.
And characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe. As a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop, ah, keep it doop. Scoop-a-boop-a, beep 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 phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta beep-a-da boop. Skim milk, the rat freak, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They cleared their calendars and booted up straight into Suicide Squad Kill the... No. Oh, no. That didn't come out of the way. They booted into Force... They shut that game down and they moved right on over to the cutting edge, amazing, breathtaking Redfall. Highguard. No. Marathon? Sort of, maybe. Who knows where they went, if they were ever there to begin with. How are you guys doing? How's everybody doing? Oh God, what is that? That's not good. My camera just gave up. There, oh, okay. It just restarted. That was weird. Hopefully that's not gonna keep happening. I've never seen that before. Okay, that was weird. Anyway, it seems like the camera heard about Highguard and just decided to quit for a second. And more like a threatening, reboot. It was like, I'll do it. Don't make me. I'll do it. We're not talking about Highguard again. God damn it. Anyway, here we are. How's everybody doing? Luke, are you streaming live from the Artemis 2? No, but dude, I'm so here for space stuff. You guys know me. One of my relaxation games is Kerbal Space Program. Dude, I love it. I love it. I love some KSP. I love it. Yeah, I just freaking love it, dude. And so seeing all of the Artemis stuff is really, really cool. I've been sharing it with my son Lachlan. We've been watching the videos and stuff and following it. He keeps asking to see if to see the live feed of the whole thing. He's like, can we see the astronauts, see what they're doing right now? He keeps asking for updates. I've tried to explain to him, I'm like, it's going to take 10 days. I mean, it's like 4 days to the moon, 4 days back. Like it's a big thing. He has no comprehension of that. Makes sense. He's 4. I'm an adult and I barely can comprehend it. So I've been walking him through, showing it to him, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm having a great time. So yeah, shout out astronauts. 2 thumbs up from me. frankly. Also, in case you missed the memo, which is fine if you did, I am actually going to be interviewing an astronaut from the European Space Agency relatively soon. This is part of something we're doing with Don't Nod for their upcoming game Aphelion. But I'm actually going to be interviewing one of the astronauts, and you can actually submit questions for me to ask if you want to have a question asked. So I'll post the link in chat. Is it going to just have me? Yeah, it's just going to have me post the tweet link. Twitter embedded links are weird now. It freaks out. Anyway, I will post that in chat right now so that you can submit questions if you want, and you might even get your question answered by an astronaut. Why not, right? Pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm all into the space stuff. I'm a big fan of that, frankly. Also, underrated space show. I feel like I was lied to for years, even though nobody lied to me. The Orville. Anybody in chat watch The Orville? Dude, it is like old school Star Trek in the best possible way. I never watched it when it was first coming out because I thought it was going to be like being led by Seth MacFarlane. I thought it was going to be like Ted, but in space. I thought it was going to be like Family Guy humor, but in space and real time, like, or live action. I did not know what it was. And so randomly one night, me and Nikki were like, we should try that. We should boot up and try it. Bro, takes a few episodes to get in its groove. At first, you can tell they were like figuring out what the tone was going to be. But dude, by like season 2, season 3, it's really, really good. Really good. Like good old school classic sci-fi. But like, you know, the kind of sci-fi that is more uplifting and hopeful than like Star Wars. There's a term for it. There's like a term for the gritty, dark sci-fi. And then I think they call this version like utopia sci-fi or utopic sci-fi or something like that, where, you know, there's this idyllic society that's able to go out and do amazing things. Whereas in Star Wars, it's just like everything sucks, you know, space opera. Yeah, I'm not sure what the exact term is. Maybe that's what it is. But anyway, it's very good. It's very good. I'm big into space, but I'm one of those people, if I think about space too much and if I think about space traversal too much, it makes me like really sad. Because I'm like, I'll probably never get to really experience that, you know? But future generations will. I was telling Lockie, I was like, dude, you may actually have the chance to like casually go up in a spaceship and go to a hotel on the moon. Like, it's not impossible at this point. Like, for by the time I'm 80, maybe if I want to spend like $500,000, but you know, by the time he's older, it could totally happen. So anyway, yeah, there's like high fantasy and stuff. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing where it's like high fantasy, low fantasy, dark fantasy, whatever. It's a similar thing, but anyway, we have a good number of things that we're going to talk about today. Some breaking news stories as it relates to, for example, the Last of Us Online game. We got some leaks over the last couple of days as it pertains to next gen hardware, which is going to be very, very interesting to see. We also, I'm gonna be real, guys. April 1st always drives me crazy. Like, I had some stuff I had to do yesterday, which is why we didn't stream, even though we normally stream on Wednesdays. Long story short, I've been having like back and spinal. My back is broken. What kind? Spinal. I've been having spinal issues. If you don't know what that's a reference to, I'm going to pull it up because it's really good. Mike Tyson. Spinal. Yeah, here. I don't know if this is copyrighted.
You're really sick this week. What was the problem?
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? You
My
broke
back is broken.
what? A vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
So my back is broken. Spinal. So I've been having to do like physical therapy and all sorts of like really, really fun stuff. And so I had a bunch of appointments yesterday that all stacked up, and I was like, I guess it just is what it is. And it's probably for the best because yesterday there just really was not a lot of stuff to go through. And honestly, like the stuff we did get, some of it was funny, but some of it was just like, is this real news? No, it's fake. Okay, well, never mind. And so it's just, it is what it is. There's some good high effort April Fool's jokes, and then there's a lot of them that are just like, haha, I got you. Drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. Got that dad back, dude. My problem is that it's like sciatic nerve problems. So mine is like lower back going into my hips, and what's happening is that sciatic nerve is pinched. So when it flares up, I like straight up can barely walk. Like I'm limping around like a 90-year-old grandma. Yeah, my back got blown out, big style, spinal. Yeah, it's really annoying because it's like my back is fine. It's the lower spine that's getting screwed up because of a bunch of muscle issues. So yeah, it just is what it is. But I'm trying to get it sorted because it's not fun being able to not really walk. Yeah, it's not fun. So we're doing what we got to do. We're trying. Yeah, 2026 Luke Stevens back blown out. Yeah, hashtag confirmed. Let's make it trend. Hashtag Luke's blown out back. Let's do it. Spinal. Yeah, anyway. So I've been trying to deal with that, and it's super fun. It's super fun. Especially because it's been paired with me making a lot of progress on like running. It used to be I couldn't really run full stop period without an asthma attack. Now I can run a 5K and I don't need a single puff of an inhaler. Like I've made amazing progress with my cardio, with my lungs and all that. But at the same time, this like sciatic nerve problem has gotten worse and worse and worse. And it's just driving me crazy. So like a month or two ago, I finally got so fed up. It had a flare up where I could like not even walk through my house without like bracing on stuff. And I was like, dude, I can't do this. So I went to like a physical therapist. I got a masseuse. I've gone and like gotten a physical trainer that works with the PT plan to help me build that out. I'm doing like everything you can short of surgery, but it's just a nightmare, dude. I feel for the people that have these types of nerve issues and spinal issues because it sucks, man. Thankfully, I'm doing a job where like I can sit and it's fine, but I can only imagine like some of the people, if you've got to work like retail or something, I really feel for those people. So I get it. Much love to everybody, but yeah, don't get surgery unless it's legit the last option. Exactly. That's why we're doing everything we can to avoid surgery. There's some surgeries I'll have to get eventually. Like apparently I have calcified patellar tendons. So my kneecap, like fascia and the tendons there are calcified. So they crunch really bad when they extend under load. And just the other day I went to a doctor and they were like, yeah, you're probably going to need 2 knee replacements by the time you're 45. Like you're probably going to need like 2, both of your knees swapped out. Yep. Sorry, not sorry. Because when you have the calcified tendons and the joints get calcified, it puts that extra, it's like sandpaper on the joint. Like it'll tear up the meniscus and cause all sorts of problems. And they're like, yeah, it used to be that you would just end up in a wheelchair by the time you're 40 and that's just what your life would be. Now we can do knee replacements, but obviously that's a big deal. So if we can avoid doing that until the last possible second, we'd rather do that. So yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But enough about me. Yeah, unk problems kicking in. Yeah, 28's been hard on me. Tell you what. How's everybody doing? Mark, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. Much love. Glad to have you guys. I see Rhyhillichibles. I'm definitely sure that's not what the name is supposed to be, but I'm glad you're here. Rotten Robs, much love. Good to see you. Loxy, good to see you. Yeah, I agree with the YouTube chatter. The Expanse is really effing good. I've heard amazing things about it. And with the game coming, I'm like, might need to check that out. I've been watching Righteous Gemstones, which is fantastic. And we're on the home stretch of that show. And so once that show ends, we're going to have to figure out where we want to go next, what our next show is, you know. Mortal Shell 2 looks insane. Yeah, anybody who missed that trailer, look at this. I'm gonna kind of forward through it a little bit because it's a full 10-minute reveal. I don't know why they dropped the trailer on April Fools, but like that looks badass. Major improvements over the last one. Look at this Booty shot. Oh, baby. Yeah. This ain't made by EA, tell you what. Watch this fast travel animation. Look at this. So you go up here, you hop in the little pod thing, then you select where in the world you're going. Mortal cake, how dare you? Wait for it. So you hop in, you select where you're gonna land, and watch this. It's one of the cooler fast travel animations I've probably ever seen. It's pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Helldivers 2 launch. Yeah, basically. So, yeah, this is one I know a lot of people have been excited for. You know, another Souls-like, basically. But it does seem to have some unique ideas. And, dude, I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. So, yeah, go check out the full gameplay drop they just put out. It's 11 minutes long. Lots to sink your teeth into. Lots of it.
Broken.
What, a vertebrae or what
Well,
portion?
Spinal.
Sorry. Spinal. My back is broken. We got that. We also got this, if you guys missed it, a new trailer from CDPR. Witcher DLC?
Here we are again.
Get ready. Because this year, the path is about to change. Introducing Roach, the controller that is also a hobby horse.
Let's go for a ride.
Nothing beats the feeling of roaming the fields of Velen on horseback. And now, you get to experience the game both as Geralt
Yeah, faster.
and his trusty companion Roach. 10 years ago, I was directing a horse motion capture session. That very day, it hit me. No, kicked me. What if the horse was a controller? We took the prototype into a mock-up studio and made sure the
Kind of
horse
brushed.
Slow down.
will follow your every step. After countless iterations, we've made enormous progress. Now, thanks to precise motion tracking, Roach will never stray from the path like she used to.
On the building. That's a throwback.
Step up your game and take your hobby to the next level.
Honestly, I'd buy one. Can you imagine how stupid funny it would be if I was like, yeah, I'm going to do another run of The Witcher 3. And every time you want to ride Roach, you have to physically
It's the
pull it
feeling of
out.
roaming the-
Like, yeah, I think it'd be so funny. I would actually buy one. My humble brag is that Sebastian follows me on X. So I'm not saying I'm better than you guys, but, you know, director of Witcher 4 follows me on X. So there you go. Yeah, in case you don't know, he is the director for Witcher 4. There you go. They actually got the guy for the video. It's pretty baller. Yeah, look at Mr. Hotshot. Wow. Yeah, dude, I'm pretty cool. Oh, golly. Also, this is not related to any breaking news. I just think the game looks cool. In case you guys haven't seen it. Into the Unwell. So sorry, that was loud. Into the Unwell is an upcoming game. If you like these like cell shaded games with really, really cool art styles, you'll probably like this one. We talked about it with New Game Plus, and they are in the home stretch towards launch. It's just a really quirky, silly, wacky game, and honestly it looks like a vibe. So Into the Unwell, check it out. It's on Steam, and you can wishlist it. It's coming soon to early access if you want to follow it. Not a sponsor or anything, I just genuinely think the game looks really cool and I want to give them some love. So there you go. think it looks cool. That being said, do I have any other little tidbits to mention and throw out? Oh, tiny update to something we talked about previously, okay? Do you guys remember when we did the segment talking about how there was an activist investor group that was buying into the parent company of From Software? And this activist investor group, they're the same ones that tried to get Nintendo to move into mobile games and succeeded, got them to move in, and they launched Mario Mobile, whatever, like 2 years later. They also suggested charging with microtransactions for improved jumps and stuff like that. Well, that activist investor group, when we talked about it last, was at like 8 or 9% ownership. They've increased their stake to almost 14%. So now they own more of Kadokawa than Sony does. The company that thought it was a good idea to charge for better jumps in Mario and higher jumps in Mario now owns more of From Software's parent company than even Sony does. So yeah. Now, to be fair, maybe they just really like Kadokawa's lineup of anime, because they apparently do a lot of that, and they have a lot of like magazines that they sell and comic books they sell in Japan. So maybe it has nothing to do with From Software. Given that they've previously had exposure to video games specifically, I would say it's pretty likely that they're focused on the video game side of it, but time will tell. So yeah, just letting you know, they cannot control Miyazaki. I would think not, but like at the same time, I want to believe that Hidetaka Miyazaki is doing everything he does because it's what he honestly, creatively believes in and loves and thinks is best for the game and all of this. But at the same time, if you remove From Software from it, if you just say X company, right? If it's just Untitled Game Company, they just did a live service spin-off game, which kind of low-key felt like, we have Elden Ring, the brand, let's turn it into a live service game and make a bunch of money. Kind of feels like that. Lots of people still liked it, don't get me wrong. More than I thought would like it, but a lot of people did like it. And it did pretty well. But it did seem like, capitalizing on the IP for some cash. And then you look at what they're doing next. What are they doing next? Another live service game that Nintendo paid them a fat stack to make a console exclusive for the Switch 2. So it starts to feel like if you remove From Software from it, if you remove all the bias that's associated with that, and it's literally just X company, they went from like Elden Ring to pumping out 2 back-to-back live service games, including one that was paid to be a console exclusive, for like a console that very few of their fans actually own. So it feels like maybe there is a little bit more corporate push than we previously thought. And ultimately, Kadokawa owns the company. If they want them to make a live service game, if they want to make it exclusive to the Switch 2 or whatever, what they say goes. Hidetaka could say, no, screw you, I'm going to leave. Or he could take it as a challenge and be like, oh, let's figure out what we want to do. Let's figure out what we can do to shake it up and take it in a new direction and make this work. Let's break the stereotype of lazy live service games and make a really good one. Maybe that's what it is, but I think it's important to just remember, at the end of the day, it is a business, and Kadokawa is the parent company. And if they say jump, the company has to say how high because they own them. So, they're not magic just because they made Elden Ring. Ultimately, they still do have to do what their bosses tell them. Speaking of bosses, let's talk about this real quick. I just want to mention this. So, in case you missed it, last stream we mentioned how Xbox was bringing back FanFest. So this was an event that, in the wake of COVID and everything, they decided to shut down last year, or scale down. Last year, they fully canceled it in person, and it was just digital. But FanFest was a thing that they would do at like Xbox events, or Xbox big reveals and stuff where they would meet up and they'd all wear their merch and they'd all like do the gang sign, stuff like that. Not my vibe, but I think it's kind of fun. It takes me back to like the mid 2000s. You know, you see the old vibes of like the 360 era E3 events, and you know, it takes me back to those days. You know, it's kind of fun. Well, Asha Sharma announced she's bringing it back this year, which initially I was like, oh, it's maybe just because of the 25th anniversary or whatever. She has since expanded it now to 7 more cities. They're now doing an Xbox FanFest tour in Cologne, London, LA, Mexico City, Seattle, Sydney, Tokyo, and Toronto. Like, they're fully going all out. And bear in mind, this is something that does not like produce any sort of major revenue for Xbox. This is millions of dollars being burned on these events, but they're doing it anyways, which is not something we've seen, I think, since like post COVID, which is fascinating. And I replied to this and I was just like, straight up, it's genuinely really refreshing to see a leader in the industry that is trying to connect directly with the fans and respond to feedback forcefully. Kind of forgot what it was like to see an executive actually try, which, bear in mind, she is still like an AI executive put in charge by like the leader of a multi-trillion-dollar company. I'm not saying she's like magically your friend or anything. What I think she's doing is actually trying to rebuild a brand with a fan base that has gotten pretty used to being stepped on and like kind of treated like the company was entitled to the attention and fanfare that they had gotten used to. I think for a long time it was just assumed by Sony and Xbox that no matter what they do, the core fan base will remain. If PlayStation brings everything cross-platform, their core fan base will still stay on the platform. They'll just get more sales. That seems to have been a bit of an oopsie because it seemed like a lot of PlayStation gamers started migrating to PC, which I don't think they fully anticipated. I think they thought they would get PC players moving to PlayStation, but instead PlayStation players were moving to PC, which is not what they wanted. And then with Xbox, they thought if everything was an Xbox, well, we'll still have the core fan base that plays on Xbox and will buy our hardware and stay on the platform. Also didn't really happen. A lot of Xbox players moved over to PC because if everything on Xbox is coming to PC as well, PC is going to end up being more performant. It's going to be cheaper. You get access to Steam, so you get discounts and return policy benefits and all this other stuff, in addition to being able to use it like a computer, you know? And so they couldn't take them for granted anymore. It just doesn't work. And I think that has been the lesson of this generation, is that you can't take your fan base for granted. You just can't. Like, if you try to equalize everything else, PC, as of right now, will win. Like, granted, with the RAM crisis, everything is more expensive. Hardware is more expensive, so it's harder for people to move over. But if we look at like a year ago, 2 years ago, there is no question that if you have the option between having an Xbox for next gen and having a PC for next gen, if all the games are coming to every platform regardless, PC is just going to end up being the better offer, which is why a lot of PlayStation gamers were hoping to get more console exclusives. Same with Xbox. When you bring everything everywhere, the PC side of the ecosystem, it just makes more sense. It just does as a consumer, from a consumer's point of view. So now I think you're just seeing that Asha has been brought in and she's trying. She's not taking them for granted anymore and trying to rebuild relationships, which I think is good, because I was kind of braced for it to come in and be kind of business as usual. Lots of layoffs, lots of financial restructuring and reorganization, which I do still think will happen. There are still going to be Xbox layoffs. There's still going to be studio closures and projects shut down and all that. Because that's just how these companies work. But I do think that actually trying is going to make a difference. There's also one thing that was brought up by, I forget who it was. It was one of the panelists on like a CNBC panel, you know, like the financial channel where they do the show and have interviews. I saw it at the gym when I was on the treadmill. I like went over to the channel. I was seeing what they were saying, because they were talking about the new CEO of Xbox, Asha Sharma. And one of the analysts on the panel was saying he thinks that the last like year and a half, he's like, well, he believes the messaging that Phil was planning to retire for a long time, which maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I'm not so convinced he was planning for like years to retire at this point. It seemed quite sudden, but he took their word for it. And he was like, if we assume that he was planning to retire for a long time, it seems like a lot of the really rough decisions, the closures of studios, the downsizing of studios, the layoffs, and then other elements like shutting down projects like Project Blackbird, which they spent millions by millions by millions of dollars on, things like that, which are kind of unpopular decisions. He thought that Phil Spencer was basically doing that to take the bullet, so Asha comes in with a squeaky clean image, which I thought was interesting, that you like have the old guy be the bad guy and do all the nasty stuff, and then when the new person comes in, they don't have to take any of the blame for those big moves, which I thought was an interesting theory. I don't think it times out that well personally, because like I think you have to go back 2 years of rough decisions, and I don't think he was planning on retiring for 2 years, and I like nobody wants to be the bad guy that everybody hates. So I think if he were tasked with that and he knew he was about to retire, he probably would have just retired and let somebody else do it, you know. And they could also do things like they could put in an interim CEO that is the butcher and goes crazy, and then they're replaced by Asha, you know. So who knows what the real story is, but what I do know is that stuff like this does matter. It does have an effect. And I think it's again, a little taste of what was the normal back in like the early PS4 gen, when these companies were really competing with each other and trying. Once Jim Ryan took over from Sean Layden, I think it very quickly, like PlayStation stopped trying to connect with fans in any sort of direct way. And I think that was also reflected. It brings me back to E3 every time. Like people, I really feel for like the youngest generation that missed out on that. E3 20, what would that have been? Let's do 2016. E3 2016 was just on another level, dude. Like, look at this. Look at this. This is just Sony's showcase. Bear McCreary. Like, whoa. Right into the God of War preview. Shout out Corey. Live demoed right there on the stage with the audience watching in real time. Like, you don't see this anymore. You just don't. And that energy, that excitement is just gone, it seems, from the industry. You know, it's way too plastic and artificial and corporate, and it's lost a lot of that fun-loving vibe that I think is beneficial. Like, there's downsides to every aspect of any approach. Like, doing things this way, there's downsides and potential for like bugs. There's potential for like performance issues. There's downside potential for like how many moving parts there are. It's very expensive as well to put on a show like this live in front of everybody. And that's ultimately what started to plague the industry in the last like decade, I think, from a lot of these bigwig executives, as they said, why would we do all of this when we can just record this trailer ahead of time and put it out in a pre-recorded state of play? It costs us basically nothing to do that. Why would we go to all this trouble, go to LA, spend millions and millions on that? And I think it's because they could get away with it, because yeah, people would watch the trailer and be like, oh, it looks good. Games would sell well, and that's it. But I think that there's something to be said for going that extra mile and really trying. And I just think that that's been kind of lost. That secret sauce is just lost, which is why the industry like has grown very cynical and kind of I don't know, bitter. There's almost a bitterness to it, you know, because it almost feels like the big corporations have some contempt for their customers, and that in turn creates contempt from the customers towards the corporation. You know, I think at some point, if you want to have a relationship of fandom, you got to treat the fans like fans, and that will, I think, aid in that excitement building and the brand building that has been degraded slowly over time. I mean, it's hard to describe to people who don't know or don't remember, but E3 2018 was like, or E3 just in general, was one of those things that just brought everybody together. And it's hard to describe, but we just don't see it anymore. We just don't. Like, look at this. They're renting out the massive stage, all of this stuff. You just don't see it anymore. Spider-Man reveals. Like, Summer Games Fest is fun, but dude, I think if E3 were to come back, it would heal so many of the wounds of the industry in a really good way. I get it. A lot of people are like, well, that's what Gamescom is. Which maybe is the answer. Maybe that is like fair, but I don't know, man. I long for those days. And seeing stuff like this actually gets me a little excited and like, oh, maybe we can start to rebuild it. Like I said, this isn't my kind of event. I'm, as you can tell, not married to any platform. I'm a PC gamer, rah, PC Master Race. But I think it's good for brands to celebrate their fans and to celebrate like the fandom. And I think it's just cool to see a CEO at least look like she's trying. We're not going to really know for a year or two what her direction for the franchise or for the company is, because it takes a while. But I do think that this, like everything we're seeing, is a good first step for her actually trying. And again, the best thing for PlayStation gamers is a healthy Xbox. Best thing for an Xbox gamers is a healthy PlayStation that's also competing. Like, this is how you get better products, better services as a consumer, is by seeing competition. It's really good for it. So we'll see. E3 died because the AAA industry is in a rough state. E3 died because everything started to splinter off. So E3 2019, which I had the privilege of going to, actually on my Twitter banner, you can see like this E3 Coliseum. Like, this was actually at one of the events at E3 2019. And so I went there in 2019 and it was clear it was on its way out, because basically every major group had moved out. What it used to be was that they would have one big tent for everybody. So you had the big building, the conference center, and then you'd have a little cube for Xbox, and you have another section of the floor for PlayStation, and then you have like Nintendo is over here, and then you have like EA is over here in this booth, and then over here is Warner Brothers, and then you've got CDPR, and Ubisoft is over here. And so there was like everybody in the same building all together. What happened in 2019 is pretty much all of that went away. And so you had, instead of all of this, you had like Fortnite. Okay, like it was just all Fortnite over here, and then like there was a little section for Mortal Kombat, and then there was like Cyberpunk, and then there was like Bethesda, with a bunch of, they had like a bunch of Fallout 76 stuff, and like it was all smaller stuff. Like Square Enix was over here. But then there were different buildings that rented out separately. So PlayStation was there, or I think they actually fully skipped it. So maybe PlayStation's a bad example. But like Xbox was over here in a totally separate building across the street, not affiliated with E3, just happening to go on at the same time. So if you wanted to leave E3, you walk out down the street and you go over. At the time they were promoting Mixer. I don't know if you guys remember Mixer, but that was their big thing, 2019. And it's same thing with like, I think, did Ubisoft do anything that, I think they were in the complex. I think they were part of E3 officially, but like every other major publisher, whether it was PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, they all left and they all pulled out and went elsewhere because it was expensive. It really is what it comes down to at the end of the day. Why pay E3 and put it all in the same building if we can do it in our own building and save money? And I get that. I understand that. But I think that one of the great things about that era was the unity that we saw. What year was it? What year was it when the Game Awards brought up Phil Spencer? let's see, Phil, Spencer, Reggie, and Sean. Yeah, this. 7 years ago. So if this was 7 years ago, December 7th, 2018. 2018. The executives of all these games standing together on the stage, even though they're actively competing and fighting against each other, they stood together. It was this unity of like, yeah, we're all gamers at the end of the day. Do you think we would ever see Herman Hulst standing next to Asha Sharma? And I think Doug Bowser retired, didn't he? I forget the name of the new CEO. But no, I don't think you would. I don't think you would. And there's a reason why Jim Ryan never went to any of these events. He didn't go to the Game Awards. He didn't try to have any sort of presence because he's not a gamer. He doesn't give a crap, you know? Now they're all gone, yeah. But I think that this is what would be really healthy for the industry today. If we got back to this kind of unification of like, yeah, we're competing, but we're gamers at the end of the day. It's good for everybody. When PlayStation is strong, Xbox is strong, vice versa. And then there's Nintendo. Just kind of does whatever they want, you know? So I'm hopeful. It's probably just hopium, but I'm hopeful that next generation, we can start to climb back towards that direction with a strong Xbox, a strong PlayStation, strong Nintendo that can all compete with each other. That will help all of us win and have a better time. And that's my hope. That is my hope, but we shall see. Anyway, there you go. Let's see. Let me catch up on these real quick. Buttery Cheeks, Luke, I miss when big reveals were only at E3 and all eyes were on it. Nowadays, game reveals are too fragmented through the year with too many events. Yeah, well, and I think that, I don't know if it's, I think a lot of it comes down to costs. Because why do a big reveal at the Game Awards when you have to pay Jeff $1 million when you can just put out a trailer on a Tuesday? You know, for a lot of companies, that just makes more sense. And they're like, yeah, we'll just spend that money. We'll, instead of spending $1 million with Jeff, we'll put it out on our personal channels and we'll pay a bunch of TikTokers 10 grand a piece to make videos like pushing it and promoting it. Why not? And I think for them, that just makes more sense. So it's one of those things where like, there's the spreadsheet answer to the question of what should we do. And then there's like the industry, what's good for the industry, what's good for the fandom, what's good for gaming more generally, capital G gaming. And that's a separate answer. But I think what happens is when you get like these executives that are so focused on the bottom line, they just look at the spreadsheet answer and they don't consider maybe this is going to cost more, but the extra benefit we get from like the brand is going to be really, really valuable. You know, the excitement from the fandom is going to be worth 10 times what we save over here. You know, that it's just, that's not really considered anymore, it seems. You know, it's just too bad. But we'll see. We'll see. I think what we do see with Asha, though, is a hunger to try and do things differently. And I think that is really, really helpful. Let's see. Okay. I'll look that up later. Okay. Let me catch up on these real quick. Joaquin, thank you for the 38 months. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you too, my friend. May the Easter Bunny guide you and give you peace. Indeed. Bino Bake, thank you for the 1 month down, lifetime to go. Hells yeah, brother. Appreciate you being here. Much love, much love. Bass Player, thank you for the 5. If you haven't done so already, quickly check out Kitten Space Agency. It's being developed by the original KSP team and is currently in pre-alpha. Kitten Space Agency. What is this? How have I not heard of this? Kitten Space Agency. So it's like, it's literally Kerbal. It's literally Kerbal, but Yeah, but with kittens. Huh. Okay. Okay. Color me intrigued. I'm going to keep that open over here. And let me highlight that and then copy it over. I'm going to keep that over there. I'll open that after the stream. Thank you for the suggestion. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Mason Bullock, thank you for the 5. Hey, Luke, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the VR game Rec Room shutting down. Devs apparently said the game was never truly profitable. VR just in general has struggled to find its footing by itself. It's easy to forget, but like VR for a decade was basically kept afloat with Meta. Like Meta bought Oculus. Meta spent billions on game development and on tool development and on hardware development and stuff. And their VR headsets are still, especially with price considered, I think make the most sense for the most people. I mean, the Meta Quest 3 and all those are amazing pieces of hardware. I have one over here. It's fantastic. But it's incredibly niche. The margins were never good. And once Meta decided to pull the funding and stop subsidizing it, basically, it just stopped making sense. And that seems to be the case, is that once they decided we're not going to just burn money on this, we have to justify the expenses from here on out, it just, nothing got to stay open anymore. So they shut down everything, you know, they just shut down everything. So, you know, it is not that surprising, especially given the track record of VR for the last handful of years, but it just is what it is. It's too bad, because I think there's a lot of really cool VR things, but I think it's just, it's too niche at the end of the day. Oxgrim, thank you for the super chat. Were you able to play the final preview build for Pragmata like others, or only played the public demo and eagerly anticipate release since then? I've not played a final preview build or anything. Like, they did the Summer Games Fest demo and then they did the public demo, but if there's been another thing since then, I haven't touched it. So no, I've not played any additional secret build or anything like that. I have not. Let's see. Buttery Cheeks also, thank you for that one about E3. Luke Smith, thank you for the 5. Off topic, but can you do the French accent real quick? No. Whenever I try to do a French accent, it turns German. Sorry, not sorry. What a name, dude. This is crazy. What a name. Kegel Bagel. I almost said Kegel Beagle. Kegel Beagle is different. Kegel Bagel, thank you for the 10. Does AC need to go the Resident Evil route and do a soft reboot and remake the most beloved game starting with AC2 to get the franchise back on track? I don't know if they need to go that aggressively. I think that would be easy money, frankly. If they did like a full remake, rebuild of AC2, for example, I'd buy the crap out of that. But I do think that they need new leadership. And in the last 3 months or so, they've done that. They've pretty much booted out everybody who was in a position of leadership in the last few months that was in charge of Assassin's Creed. And they've replaced them specifically with leadership from AC Origins, AC Black Flag, and AC Valhalla. So pretty much the last 6 years of people running it, they've pretty much pushed them out. And now everything is about the Black Flag Origins era and that leadership. So that's where the direction is going, I think. They're bringing back people that have not, you know, been at the company for a while. They're trying to get back to that golden era. And I think that is a good idea. Didn't they try a soft reboot with Mirage? No, because Mirage wasn't pitched or described as a soft reboot or as any type of reboot. It was pitched as a fun spin-off project, like a side project. Because remember, Mirage did not start as, we are going to try to go back and do this, this, and this. Mirage started as a DLC for Valhalla. And then it grew to the point where they decided, we could probably do like a dedicated game for this. And so then it turned into a single player game. But it did not start as like, let's try to reboot this. It started as a DLC. So what do you think the gameplay of Hexa will be like? I think the gameplay of Hexa will probably end up being much closer to like, I'm trying to think if there's a clear example. Honestly, I'm kind of low-key expecting it to play more like more like Blood of Dawnwalker. Or like the Plague Tale games, that a little bit too, but with more verticality and movement. So I think Blood of Dawnwalker, honestly, is kind of what I'm expecting. That's kind of my expectation. I expect a lot of verticality in the cities. I expect some magic-based effects and abilities as have been described by the leaks. But that's what I'm anticipating. But we'll see. We'll find out soon enough. Yeah. Is that you saying they want the Expedition 33 team back? No, I think of the core development team of Expedition 33, only 3 of them worked at Ubisoft. Most of the Expedition 33 team, despite like public misinformation, most of them were from outside the games industry. Like their chief technical officer previously worked at like a crunchy munchy competitor to Uber in France. Like their head of tech previously was working on like a net zero emissions version of Uber. So I know there's like the meme that they were at Ubisoft and they all left and made this game. It's not technically what happened. Or I think that was the COO was with Uber. I forget exactly who it was. One of their guys, I think he was also one of the technical leads. He was at Ubisoft. He worked at like Ubisoft Montpellier. So he was working on Beyond Good and Evil 2. But most of the team had never made a game before, which is kind of fascinating, you know? But yeah, I get why this story started to spread, but once they clarified it that like, you know, the most of the team was not Ubisoft, the meme had already spread, you know, so it was kind of too late. Nintendo losing the patent mechanic is so funny. Yeah, honestly, why could they not have also rejected the patent for the Nemesis system? Like, I would have been so happy if they had done that, but man, so frustrating. I'm glad that I don't think you should be able to patent gameplay systems. I think that's freaking stupid. I just think it's dumb. I understand the initial principle where it's like, hey, if we invent a card game, we should be able to be protected so people can't just call it something else and then sell it. I get that, but I think that it does way more harm than good. You know, I don't think, especially in the context of video games where it's all about iteration and inspiration. I'm like, come on, fam. Come on. Luke, what % chances does GTA 6 actually launch this year? I think at this point, it's like 90-95%. I think that like it launching in 2025, early in 2025, which was the original expectation, was like May of 2025. I think the original date there, it was like a 15% chance it launched there. And then after it was delayed, it was like, okay, there's probably like a 50 to 60% chance it launches in late 2025. And then it got delayed again. Then it was like, okay, I think now we're getting closer to like 70% chance it launches in early 2026, in like the first half rather, so like May. Then it got delayed to the fall. Now I think it's like 90-95% chance it actually launches. Is it possible it slips to 27? Yeah, never say never, but I think it's incredibly unlikely, specifically because Strauss-Zelnick has mentioned in interviews that they've already committed to spending and marketing plans for this summer, which is very expensive. Marketing for GTA 6 will probably be in the realm of like $300 to $500 million. You don't greenlight that unless you're pretty damn sure you're going to launch when all of those commercials say you're going to launch. Because delaying it 6 months means you got to redo a lot of those. It's not great. You got to redo TV campaigns, and now you're launching in early 2027, which means in like, if you're targeting March, you're running commercials during the Super Bowl, and it's way more expensive. You know, it's just a problem. Does GTA 6 even need it? Everybody knows already. Everybody in the gaming space knows it, yes. But GTA 6 will make most of its money, like 85-90% of its money, not from hardcore gamers, but from casual gamers, the people that are still playing on a PS4 on GTA 5. You know, those are the people that make up like 85%. Because we've seen the sales charts where you're like, how on earth did GTA 5 sell 2 million copies this month. How does that even make sense? Where did that even happen? It's because there's a lot of casual gamers that buy it and are really into it. People that are not watching streams like this and YouTube videos. Those people are not in the bubble. And so advertising to them means putting stuff in Times Square. It means putting TV commercials before movies and movie theaters, that type of thing. What kind of coffee I got? This is a cold brew, but then it has a little bit of a like peppermint dabble on it. It's very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, no casuals here. Yeah, I still love you guys though. It's okay. It's okay. Trafalgar, thank you for the 5. Did you see the IGN reviewer for Crimson Desert said he's looking to redo the review, saying after the updates, more time with it, his opinion changed? I did not see that. I'd like to know what he said changed. I will say, I won't pull it up because I don't want to accidentally encourage brigading or anything, but I did pull up his X account and it was brutal, dude. It was brutal. Like, I get it. People love some Crimson Desert, but when he doubled down and gave it a 6, even after like a week, because remember, it launched, he had a work in progress review saying it was a 6. They did a bunch of updates and it launched and all this stuff. And he still gave it a 6. When he was on, I saw his X account, bro. It was rough. There was one there was one that I saw that was like, bro, I don't know. I don't remember his full name. I don't remember his full name. I remember his first name. I don't remember his full name. But some of the replies on that tweet, I was like, dude, can you imagine what he's getting in DMs and what are on all of his other posts? It was rough. And honestly, like, everybody's entitled to their own opinion of games. You can score it however you want. But at the same time, when you make your review public, especially, and you're putting your review up on the biggest gaming outlet in the world with like tens of millions of subscribers and followers, like, you're going to be put under the microscope. And if people are not impressed with your review or are convinced that you didn't give it a fair shake or that you have bad taste in games or whatever, you're going to hear about it. And that's just what happens with making your review public at the end of the day. And I will say, bro, woof. Some nasty stuff. Nasty stuff where I was like, bro, I'd go private if I was getting some of the, I'd take a break, a mental health month. Forget about a mental health day. Go for a month, dude. Polygon had a bad review too. Do you want to see my surprise face? What do you mean Polygon had a bad review? What? No idea. The most insane was that 45 out of 100. Dude, you can say what you want out of, like with any game, but dude, giving that game a 45 is actually ridiculous. Like, that instantaneously, I'm like, never taken seriously again. Like, it's that like performatively bad review. It's like, some people are still surprised when I say this. I've never said that Starfield is like a bad, terrible, no good game. I said in my review, it's just like, as a whole package, Starfield is the definition of mid and mediocre, just like across the board. Is it terrible and broken and unplayable? No, like, you can play it. There's fun to be had in Starfield. There's elements of it I really like the ship customization is awesome. So I would never say it's like a terrible game, but some people get this like performative thing where they want to perform that it's the worst thing ever, which sometimes, like, I think that some games deserve that, you know? Suicide Squad was close to like, actually, are you trying to make a bad game? Like, this is unbelievable. Like, it was close. but like Starfield is nowhere near that, you know? And so some people, like I'm often associated with Starfield critiques and criticisms because I've done a lot of coverage of it because I'm a fan of BGS games, and I feel like Starfield represents like a decade of missteps and poor direction. And I think Starfield is just the quintessential example of what went wrong at Bethesda for the last decade. But I don't think Starfield even still is like a terrible game, which sometimes surprises people when they hear me say that. But some other games pretty bad, pretty terrible. Let me see. Tyler, thank you for the 5. My wife tried AC Black Flag and said it was terrible. Should I divorce her now or later? Not financial advice. Hide the money. Hide the money. Get a lawyer. Hide the money. And get a lawyer. Hide the money and get a lawyer. And then you can go and file the papers. But hide the money first. You know what? If she hated Black Flag, I have a great idea. A chest. You put the money in the chest. You bury it on a beach. And then like mark on a map where it is. She'll have no idea how to find it. No clue. No clue. It's my recommendation. Did she like Skull and Bones? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. That's crazy. Zach Miklas, thank you for the 5. Luke, will you be trying out Forza Horizon 6? Also, could racing games ever be considered for Game of the Year? If so, how great would it have to be? I think racing games, like the people that like racing games really love racing games, but they don't have a lot of like cross appeal. Like they have mass market appeal. They do amazingly well. But, you know, you have to remember, because I'm assuming, perhaps falsely, that you're talking about like the Game Awards. The Game Awards, it's the best, like the Game of the Year is selected by a jury. So it's a collection of people from all over the industry, maybe some people at publishers or people at media outlets. It's a bunch of people. And then they vote as a jury on what is the best game of the year for each category and blah, blah, blah. Because of how that works, I do think there's going to be some people that would vote for like a Forza, but I think that there's a lot of people who are going to be voting who are not like racing fans, you know, which is why like the games that tend to win, it's fairly easy to predict. Like there can be 10 out of 10 games in a year, but you can figure out which game is going to win based on which one had the most appeal within that echelon of the industry, you know, within that group. You know, it's why like when you see a really dark, gritty story that, you know, game journalists, quote unquote, really like, then you know that has a big advantage over like a 10 out of 10 puzzle game. Like Blueprints was a great game. Was it ever going to win Game of the Year over Expedition 33? I don't think so. You know, I just think specifically the Game Award or Game Awards award, how it's selected, I think that there's certain one of those games that just would never really pop off in that way. Let's see. And then what is it? Tad Dolmstead, maybe. Dolstem. I'm sorry. Dolmstead, thank you for the 5. According to Eddie Makuch from GameSpot, a new Lord of the Rings game is in development from Crystal Dynamics. Rumors go the same for Warhorse Studios. Yes, I did see that. I did see that. Thank you for the 5. Real quick, just to mention it for everybody in case somehow you missed it. So, let me scroll. I have it bookmarked. I do indeed. Where did I put it? Here. So, sort of segment. We'll see if Jacob wants to clip it. I don't know. So Mike Straw from Insider Gaming, he posted an article describing basically some of the latest rumors and news of what's going on. Basically, there is a Lord of the Rings game, at least one, in production somewhere. This was initially reported by Mike Straw with Insider Gaming back in October of 2025. When he described it, we talked about it on stream. And specifically, this was tied to a deal with the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, where they were funding the game's production with roughly $100 million. Okay. We didn't know who was working on it, though. But then, like 2 days ago, on Tuesday, rumors started swirling that it was actually Warhorse, the team behind Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. What? And naturally, people started to get really excited because a Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 game, but Lord of the Rings Coat of Pain, I'm there for that. I'm in it. But then there was clarification laid out. Okay, what is this clarification? Well, Mike Straw once again had an article that he followed it up with saying veteran studio working on new Lord of the Rings game, specifically that this studio was not the one working on the game he talked about, the $100 million one, was not Warhorse. So as you can see, recently claims surfaced regarding Kingdom Come Deliverance developer Warhorse Studios is working on the Lord of the Rings game. While sources say that it's possible they're working on one, they aren't the studio working on this specific game. According to those closest with the game's development, Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics is working on the upcoming Lord of the Rings game. This work is alongside what's being done on the new Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis, and Tomb Raider Catalyst titles. When asked for comment, both of them, both on what Warhorse is working on and Crystal Dynamics, Embracer Group, who owns both of them, refused to comment. They just declined. As mentioned previously, they received roughly $100 million to produce this, and Insider Gaming last year was told it was still a bit away. Now, what interested me the most was this little tidbit where he says specifically that it's possible. Sources say that it's possible they're working on one. Who are these sources? Well, these are the same sources that are telling him that it's actually Crystal Dynamics working on it. So they've not been told they're the only studio working on Lord of the Rings. They're not been told, like, if this source is within Eidos, or not Eidos, Crystal Dynamics, they think it's possible Warhorse is working on it too. So you're saying there's a chance. There's a chance. It's possible. Maybe not, but it's possible. I don't know what they're working on. I tried to get them to tell me. I've tried, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying, but they won't tell me. They won't even let it slip. But they are working on something. So who knows what Warner or what Warhorse is working on? It could be Lord of the Rings. It could be some new IP. It could be something sci-fi. It could be, who knows? I don't expect it to be in the same universe as Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I expect it to be some sort of new IP. But time will tell. Still probably a handful of years away, though. That being said, whatever this game is specifically being designed so that it could compete, quote, with Hogwarts Legacy. That's what they're pointing to for inspiration, which I'm in for. I think when I think of Hogwarts Legacy, I think iconic locations recreated faithfully. So I think if you're going to do that, I don't know if this means that it's going to be like The Hobbit, the games, or if this means that it's going to be, you know, like the core Lord of the Rings story, but gamified. I don't know if that works, or if they're going to do just something where it's a prequel, or, you know, after the events of the books. I don't know what they're going to do, but it does seem interesting that they are specifically pointing to Hogwarts Legacy, saying, let's do that, but with Lord of the Rings. Fingers crossed. I do think it's interesting that they assigned it to Crystal Dynamics, because that to me indicates certain things. Like, I would not expect this to be like an RPG type game, but who knows? Who knows? You know, lots of studios can surprise you every single day. What I've said before also is never underestimate the power of dream games, of devoted fans working on a dream game. That really went a long way with Hogwarts Legacy, as I think a lot of people could tell, where this was a passion project for a lot of them. And with this, I would imagine for a lot of people working on a a freaking Lord of the Rings game is also a dream come true. So I'm optimistic, but it does sound like it's still years away. I will say though, Lord of the Rings is probably the single most like underutilized franchise that a gaming company owns. It's kind of insane. I mean, I guess you could maybe point to like Prince of Persia also, but it's like seriously, Lord of the Rings, they've owned the rights to it for ages. And the last game we really got, I guess, was Gollum. But prior to that, as far as I'm aware, it was like 2017's Shadow of War, which was so over monetized that it started an international debate over whether loot boxes should be banned, which is crazy. And prior to that, we did have Shadow of Mordor, which was Game of the Year. It was fantastic, but it's like kind of amazing how they've not capitalized on such an incredible IP at all. At all. It's really remarkable. But that's just Embracer for you. But maybe this is the start of them actually figuring it out. Maybe, right? Maybe not, but maybe. So we'll see, but it's not Warhorse working on that one. We still don't know what Warhorse is working on, but time will tell. Would be sick if they made a new Gauntlet game. Dude, there's so much that they could do, but when games cost 100 million or 200 million, it gets really tough to justify, it seems. No matter how good the idea is, you know? Luke, sadly, I have to cut my membership due to financial circumstances. I will keep watching you climb the ranks and crush it. Love ya. Oh, dude, that's totally fine. Much love. I wish YouTube had like VIP badges or something like Twitch has. That would be nice, but they don't. But don't worry about it, Jimbo. I'm glad you're here. Appreciate you. Yeah, and if ever you have any problems, like, don't stress it. We're doing fine. Much love. Glad to have you here, my friend. Tony, thank you for the 2. Tony, first day off, get to play Crimson Desert all day. Hells yeah, my friend. Hells yeah. Thank you for the 2. And I feel that because I've still been playing Crimson Desert, and I reached a boss fight that sucked so much out of me and was just like so crushingly difficult that it like broke me. And I went off and like I literally just went smelling the roses. I just went walking through flower fields, and I was like, I just need to take a moment. I was like, at what point are you really immersed in a game? When you literally walk it off. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, I'm a big fan. Let's see. Weapon, thank you for the $1. It says message retracted, so whatever you wanted to say, just let me know and I can read it. Okay, my friend. Okay, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. And then ARF 34.97, thank you for the 5. I wanted to try the Star Wars mod for Starfield, but I'm worried the update is going to break it. It will. So that is all. It will break it. It will break it. I'm just being real. 1000%. It will break it. But you can go, I think you can, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think you can go into Steam and disable automatic updates. So just go in there, disable that. Don't let that game update, and then you can play whatever you want to in it. And update, in a year and a half when they patch the update. So yeah, it will break it. Don't go into it expecting anything else. It's Bethesda, but yeah, just disable automatic updates. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Guts of Rivia, thank you for that super chat. Wish Alcat or Larian would make a Lord of the Rings or Warhammer Fantasy CRPG. Battle for Middle-earth was one of the best Lord of the Rings games and has a very active modding community till today. Yeah, I do think a really, really good Lord of the Rings CRPG would be so fantastic. But it's just the age-old problem of like licensing fees. It's just crushing. So even if like Larian wanted to do it, do they really want to give up 10, 20, 30% of every copy sold when they can make something in Divinity's franchise that is going to sell just as well, or even a little bit less, but they keep 100%? Like, just business wise, it doesn't make sense. So for Embracer, they need to use one of their studios to do it, but their studios have struggled in large part. They've got, of course, like Warhorse, which is very successful, but they've struggled to like really make the most of the IP they own. So we'll see We'll see what they do. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is super gated by the Tolkien estate. Well, and I don't know. I know they sold the rights to like the TV rights, and they sold the game rights, and so they sold that stuff. But I still imagine that they have supervisory rights and things like that to supervise it. But I guess we'll see. Shiro, thank you for the 5. Did you hear about the Star Wars Zero Company XCOM style game set during the Clone Wars? Yes. Looks baller. Looks baller. Want to know more? Where did I get my t-shirt from? I think Target many years ago. Represent. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Fantastic show. Iconic. Very, very, very good. Real quick, I want to talk about this one. New segment thing to talk about. So do you guys remember The Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer mode that was then eventually spun off into a dedicated game called, it was just Last of Us Online was all we really knew about it. We got some artwork for it, but we never saw any gameplay. We did see some like allegedly leaked like screenshots. Last of Us Online leaked screenshots. Honestly, I think these were pretty clearly AI generated. Like I don't know. I mean, fam, do you think this looks real? Like, for one, her hand kind of looks like it has an extra joint in it, and also the window is really weird. I don't get this angling. Like, it looks like it's an in progress, in development like shot, but it just looks weird, man. I don't know. This hand is also really, really tiny, but this hand is big. The font is right, but I just don't know, man. It looks funky to me. I don't buy it. But this game was in the works from Naughty Dog for years and years. It seems like it started even like well before the launch of The Last of Us Part 2, and it maybe started as an online mode like Last of Us Factions, but eventually spun off into its own thing. And they worked on it for years and years and years. And then it was shut down out of nowhere. Well, the game director left Naughty Dog shortly after all of that happened, and just recently sat down and did an interview with Lance E. Lee on the whole process and what he learned and all of this stuff. And I'm going to link you this interview if you are interested so that you can listen to it and see what you think. As you can see, it's pretty massive. There's a lot going on here, but a few different outlets have taken this, clipped it, and discussed some of the key points which were most interesting. The first group to clip parts of it was Kotaku. So shout out to Kenneth Shepard for this. But as you can see, it's just been under 3 years since Naughty Dog announced it was canceling the planned Last of Us multiplayer game in order to redirect its resources to its signature single-player narrative titles, including the upcoming PS5 game Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. From the sound of it, the multiplayer game was in the late stages of development when the studio pulled the plug. Bear in mind, this was rumored to be very, very close to launch. When they canceled it, they said in a public statement it was because they realized that they would basically have to become a live service support studio, and that would not only affect but probably preclude them from doing single player games in the future. In short, they realized if we do The Last of Us Online, and God forbid it's successful, we will have to put all resources into new content, new seasons, stuff like that, and that means we're not making single player games anymore. And that's why they said they had to cancel it, which is confusing because you'd think that they would have known that before they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on it. But anyway, Vinit Agarwal, the director on the project, who has since left Naughty Dog and moved to Japan to found a new studio, sat down for a lengthy interview with Lance E. Lee to talk about his life and career. When the topic of The Last of Us Online came up, Agarwal revealed that the game was around 80% complete before it was canceled. Woof. Agarwal also gave some insights into Sony's misguided live service pivot, which he says the company started pushing around 2020 at the beginning of their COVID era, or COVID COVID-19 pandemic era, as online games became a way for people to connect with their friends while quarantined in their homes. As restrictions have loosened in the years that followed, people aren't playing online games as much as they were, and as such, all of that investment into forever games was pulled back. The combination of that and weighing of Naughty Dog's internal resources led to The Last of Us Online's cancellation. What he said was, quote, basically at one point a decision was made. Okay, make this game or make the next game that Neil Druckmann was directing, the president of the company. And so, kind of naturally, you can understand what happened there. They had to pick the game that was kind of the bread and butter of the studio rather than this experimental game that I was working on that I believed was going to be really big. But unfortunately, couldn't see the light of day. That was a devastating moment for me because I spent 7 years working on that game and it was soul crushing. He said The Last of Us Online was in development for 7 years. 7 years. Now, to be fair, a lot of these games start with small teams of like 10 people, 15 people, and then grow up from there. They grow to, 100 people, 200 people after that point. But they start in pre-production very, very early on like that. But to hear that this game was in development for 7 years is crazy. Bear in mind, this is also the same story for like Horizon Hunter's Gathering, where I think Jor told us the game director on that game has been assigned to it since like, I think it was something crazy, like 2019. So he's also been working on it forever. And so, these live service games, they start very, very early on and they take for freaking forever. So first he said 2020, now he says 7. Well, I think what happens is that you do very, very early pre-production stuff with a very like small team or even just him. And then he pitched it to the executives and then they greenlit it fully. So I think they were working on the online mode before The Last of Us Part 2 launched. And that launched in 2020, in June of 2020. And then he pitched doing a much bigger version of the online mode, spinning it off into its own thing. And they were like, okay, yeah, let's try that. And that's why he says it started in 2020. But I think he was working on it before that, when it was originally just going to be like an online mode for The Last of Us Part 2. If that makes sense. Real quick, the Nerdy Giant, thank you for the 10. So how sure are we about this supposed leak that Warhorse is working on the Lord of the Rings title? Didn't that get debunked a few months ago, or is this a new rumor? We just talked about it like 10 minutes ago. It's funny you asked. We just mentioned it. It is not... This particular Lord of the Rings game is not being made by Warhorse. They said Warhorse could be making one, but the one that's received $100 million in Abu Dhabi funding is not being made by Warhorse. So... yeah, it's not Warhorse, but they could be making one, but this particular game is not being made by them. But thank you for the 10. Thank you. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. He continues, I remember honestly finding out that it was getting canceled 24 hours before it was announced to the public. The game director found out it was canceled a day before. That sucks, dude. That's how I found out about the game getting canceled, and it was just unfortunate, and they had to do that because they have to control the messaging. So even the game's director found out 24 hours beforehand. That's crazy. That's crazy. For now, Naughty Dog is working on Intergalactic. Druckmann keeps teasing that there's more Last of Us coming down the line. It's been 6 years since The Last of Us Part 2, which is nearly as long as it was between the first and second game. Oh my God, dude. I didn't even think of that. Wait, dude. That's upsetting. That just broke my brain. Flashbang, get ready. Timeline. 2013. The Last of Us launches. 2016. Uncharted 4 launches. 2020. TLOU 2 launches. It is now 2026 and we still have nothing. So the time, that's upsetting, dude. That's freaking upsetting. So it's more like this, if this is our timeline, that this is 2020 This is, we'll say 27 when we probably get Intergalactic. Okay. But this is The Last of Us 2, Uncharted 4, and then The Last of Us 1. And it's just been a massive gap. That's upsetting, dude. That's crazy. Like, seriously, the post-COVID era of development has just plummeted. It's both. It seems like productivity is way lower. I don't know if that's work from home that's caused productivity to be super low or what. Obviously, to a certain extent, it's also like wasted dev time on a live service game that never launched. So like this Last of Us Online probably would have launched in like 24. But now it'll never see the light of day. But so they would have had it broken up more. But it's just so frustrating to see a studio like Naughty Dog that goes this long with nothing. I mean, it's absolutely mind blowing. Oh yeah, they did the Last of Us 1 remake. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it's the same energy as when I just saw, I think it was in Mortismal's interview with Todd Howard, when he was like, basically asking, what is the deal with games taking this long? Like, it's been so long since you revealed the last was Elder Scrolls 6 and all this. It's been ages. And Todd is like, yeah, well, we're doing more than ever before. We've got 67 updates for Fallout 76, and we've also released more individual games in the last decade than ever before. And it's like, bitch, if you count every remaster, anniversary edition, re-release that is not really quantifiably different in any perceivable way, yeah, I guess you can inflate your numbers, but like, are you really going to claim that? Like, are we really going to say that? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing? Last of Us Remaster was a big project. Well, I think Last of Us Online or Last of Us Remastered, I forget who said it, but they said that it was something where new hires were assigned to it. So like, before you worked on Intergalactic, you had to do, or you were working on the remaster, remake, whatever. And so it was kind of like how you learn the tools and how you learn the team and how the company worked. And once you did your work there, you can move on to the big project. But it was basically, as far as I can recall, it was used as like a training ground. So it was a lot of work, but it's not like their A team was working on that stuff. It seems like it was more onboarding, because it's pretty straightforward. The game exists, just replace assets and tweak this stuff here and there. It's not like a total overhaul, but yeah. Anyway, it's absolutely mind-blowing. As you can see, the final recap, Cammy went through the full interview and found some interesting tidbits. So Last of Us Online multiplayer was around 80% complete before it was canceled. In development for 7 years, at least he worked on it for 7 years. Supporting Last of Us multiplayer was full-time and would have taken resources away from single-player titles. Funding dried up after the pandemic since people weren't gaming online as much. Specifically, it seems like there was some point, probably circa 2023, going into 2024, when Jim Ryan was on his way out, and it was clear that the live service push was not working the way they thought it would. They thought they'd just be able to pump out live service games and make tons of money, and it did not work that way. So money started to dry up. Vinit stayed at Naughty Dog for another year as game director for a new single player game, not Intergalactic. So he stayed there for another year working on something. Naughty Dog had at least 2 single player games in development when Factions was canceled: Intergalactic and something else. That something else has been rumored for years to maybe be a spin-off Uncharted game. It's been rumored maybe it's going to be the next chapter of The Last of Us. We don't really know. But I'm sure we'll find out at some point. Factions 2 sounded like an Extraction style experience where you fight other teams for resources inspired by real events. I don't know what that means. Inspired by real events. Like, I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Can I search the transcript and find the specific moment he says that? Let's see. Transcript. Real events. No. This all eventually. Maybe if I search resources. No. Find maybe. Maybe. I don't see it. Find breakthrough. Investors. Find something your brother's gotta say.
It was soul crushing. I remember.
Sorry for people listening in the right ear set. The audio is messed up, so it's only coming out of the left.
Honestly, finding out that I was the director of the game, and to find out that I was getting canceled 24 hours before it was announced to the public. That's how I found out about the game getting canceled, and it was just unfortunate. And they have to do that because they have to control the messaging. And
Did that hurt you more than being walked out of the office with your box?
10 times more. Because this is something.
You had
this is something I really cared about.
Yeah, but you had so much invested in 7 years of investment.
And you remember I was telling you.
Investment, yeah.
You remember I was telling you that what inspired me about the games of the '90s was they came from a core inspiration of something from outside of games. I had a core inspiration for this game that drove what happened in the game. So in 2012, I was visiting my my friend in Austin, Texas, and I was out late at night with one of my other friends who was also visiting with me, and we're coming back late at night. And I was on the phone at 3 in the morning with my girlfriend at the time, and I had like a camera hanging from my neck. I was like a adult tourist. 2 guys show up behind us with shotguns, and I turn around, and these guys are pointing shotguns at our faces.
This is serious.
Real.
In New York.
In Austin, Texas.
In Austin, Texas, okay.
But another thing happened in New York. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
And they're like, empty your
This is
pockets.
okay.
Yeah. And my buddy starts running. I'm like, he's just running. I look behind me. These guys are pointing shotguns at me. Like, empty your pockets.
And he ran, and you just stood there and said, okay.
Because I was an idiot. I was on my phone. I had no clue what was going on. Like, empty your pockets. And I couldn't quite understand what they're saying because they had this southern accent.
Right.
So I started running, actually, because I don't know what they want. Or I thought they were going to shoot me. So I started running. And as I'm running, they tripped me with their shotgun like a hockey stick.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, as like they were running behind me, they tripped me with a shot with like a shotgun with a hockey stick.
And you fell on your face.
And I fell on my face, and they're like, "Empty your fucking pockets," you know. And I was like, "Okay." And I dropped my camera, I dropped my phone, I dropped everything, and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And I was like, "Okay." And I ran, and I found my friend, and we flagged out a car, and we called the cops.
So, dude, what the hell? Dude, if my buddy just took off when we're being held up, I'd be like, we need to talk about this, buddy. What was that? Like, I don't think I'd be that calm.
And they couldn't do anything about it because those guys are already gone.
Your friend, was he Indian too?
No, he was my college buddy. He was a white guy from who we worked on the game together in college. He was one of my.
And he just left you.
I mean,
maybe there's broader context I missed. It seems kind of weird to ask if your friend was Indian as well. Like, is that not kind of an out-of-pocket question? Like, what? I guess he's insinuating maybe the robbery was racially motivated, but like they approached him from behind. How would they know what race they are? I don't know. It's kind of a weird question.
a flight, right? That was the kind of moment. And but it was a true moment of like you felt like you were gonna die. You know?
Of course, yeah.
And so that was like a frightening moment where it felt. And the thing that was sad about it was these guys were holding up a shotgun point for what at the end of the day? They got my wallet that had like $30 in it.
Yeah.
You know what ended up happening? They used my credit card once at McDonald's, then they tried to use it at Walmart and they got rejected, and then they ditched it. And the phone was shattered because I dropped on the floor when a homeless guy called my brother on my phone, and we got my phone back the next day. They tossed it in a dumpster, and so what did they really get out of that whole engagement? Maybe like a McDonald's meal. Like really, that's what they got out of that engagement. And yet they did it because they were desperate, I presume.
And so that's like part of his inspiration for the game is like that desperation, what it pushes you to do. I can see that. Yeah, real life trauma can definitely inspire things creatively. I mean, that's the title of this chapter of the video. Real life trauma inspires game design. That makes sense. He then tells another story about it in something similar that happened in New York. And yeah, I think it's just fascinating to hear all of the inner workings of this stuff. And it just sucks that you work on something for 7 years and they'll fire you and shut the whole thing down. Cause like, yeah, we just realized this is going to be expensive, like, oops, just realized it. Why is the video unlisted? I genuinely don't know. I don't know. I will share it with you guys in chat right there if you want to see it, and check it out yourself. But yeah, it's a very, very interesting thing. So anyway, I think it's just it's a fascinating story, but as you can see, Vinit now has his own studio in Japan making a gritty and mature 90s anime style game. So he moved to Japan, started a new studio, and that's what they are working on. But I think that this project, honestly, it probably would have done fine, but I think what we've seen, even with like Marathon, you can have industry leading talent that works on a game like this for years and years and years, as they did with Marathon. And it'll find probably a devoted fan base of a handful of thousands of players. Marathon sold over 1 million copies, according to Alinea Analytics. And like, it's done well by most metrics. The problem is they spent quadruple A money on it. And so doing well is not good enough. And that's the problem with modern live service stuff, is that like Sony, it can't justify spending this money on well enough. It can't justify spending hundreds of millions on a game that does pretty well. It needs it to do amazingly well to make up, exactly, Kino, it needs to make up a $200 million budget. Good enough just got way higher, you know, like strong performance for a niche live service game is probably having a devoted fan base of 20, 30,000 players. For an indie team, that would be a dream. But when you spend $200 million, that doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And you know, even if you sold 1 million copies and you get some of those people returning for months on end, that's not good enough anymore. It's just not. And that's why I've always said, like, yeah, Marathon's solid enough and it's got a devoted fan base and people that really like it. That's fine. Is it enough for Sony to be happy about it? That's a separate question, which I don't think it. I don't see how you could look at the numbers for Marathon and conclude that Sony's happy with it. Sony spent $3.7 billion on the studio. You think they're happy with only 1 million copies? No, like that's not anywhere near good enough for what they spent. But that's a separate question. With this, I think they probably realistically looked at it, and once the studio came to them, and Neil, the head of the studio, goes to them and says, guys, if we do The Last of Us multiplayer, that becomes the focus. That is what we're doing forever, realistically. And that means you don't get The Last of Us Part 3. That means you don't get Uncharted, the reboot. You don't get any of these games that get you awards and critical acclaim and sell really well and are cheaper to make. You don't get those anymore. And Sony decided, yeah, let's not do that. And so they canned it. Now, my personal expectation is that elements of The Last of Us multiplayer will probably be seen at some point. Maybe within Intergalactic, they have a fun, like, you know how they did with God of War, they did the Valhalla update mode where they added like the roguelike elements. Maybe what they do is that they do something like that for Intergalactic where they have like a multiplayer mode, kind of like Legends with Ghost of Yotei and Ghost of Tsushima. Maybe they do something like that where they recycle it, because he says they had it 80% done. So why not? Like, why not find some way to use those systems and ideas? But time will tell. Time will tell. Anyway, it's an interesting little piece of information. And now we'll never know how it would have done. I do think when it would have released, if it were honestly like an extraction game, it could have done decently. But again, decent is not good enough for having like one of the biggest and most valuable studios in the world working on something for years and years and years. It's just not good enough. You gotta do more. So there you go. Let's see what we have. Yeah. What's our final verdict? I just want to know, genuine question in chat. 1, if this is real. 2, if this is fake. I think this looks fake, but I'll let you vote. 1, if it's real. 2, if it's fake in chat. I look at it and it looks funky. Like, it does look like a video game screenshot of a work in progress build, but this is what gets me. This like weird windowsill. You see how this like is clipping right against the wall and the window is right against the wall. Like, you think about it from the other side of the building, you know, like that window frame would be right up against the edge. I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. They did a decent job with it. Like, they got the film grain effect good, and the menu and UI looks solid enough, but I don't know, man. It just looks weird to me. It doesn't look right. If this game was in development for 7 years, this would look at least partially convincing. This is so fake. it would look at least partially convincing. Especially Naughty Dog is known for like really good character models and animation and stuff. And so seeing like her weird fingers and like the hand being malformed, it just doesn't look right. I don't know. They got that blacked out. I don't know why that's blacked out, but anyway. The fact that it has no detail. Yeah. Not just that, the casual pose, like she's sipping on a pina colada on holiday. Well, that also, like, if this were the actual menu, what is the conclusion? What's the framing for this situation? Yeah, like, if this is how your live service game starts, when it's allegedly about like survivors killing each other for resources,
Johnny the Mighty
kind of a
donated
weird
74
framing.
United Arab Emirates dirhams and 99 fils through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Did you watch gameplay reveal for Mortal Shell 2? Looks amazing.
Yeah, we pulled it up earlier in the stream. It looks awesome. Looks baller. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. The fast travel animation too looks really, really good. AI doesn't even mess up the hands like that anymore, at least not the best models. Well, to be clear, this leak was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So back when the models were really bad with hands. So it's very likely or possible that it was AI generated, or it's maybe a mixture of things. I mean, it could be that it's an AI generated background, but the character model was posed with modding tools or something. I don't know, but yeah, it looks funky. Looks weird to me. Why are the photo frames empty? Well, to be fair, I mean, there's basically no textures on anything else. So, and it's common that like work in progress live service stuff has a lot of placeholders. That's totally fair. But it does make me ponder, like, again, as you brought up, you boot up the game and it's about survivors killing each other. Like, if this is what the main menu was in Arc Raiders, you'd be like, what? Why are they just chilling? Like, they're about to go kill each other. What are we doing? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Let's see. The hand is freaking me out, man. I think it looks extra bad because it looks almost like it's clipping into the pants, which is why it gets really sharp. This actually made me think it was more likely a real like model clipping into her pants, which is why they get so sharp and pointed. At least I think. But what I can't get over is why this hand is so much smaller than this weird thing. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll probably find out that this was real. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, what's that over there? What's that? Let's think of this. I will say maybe it's just the compression from wherever this was hosted, but the compression does seem pretty unified across the board, which is hard to do with AI stuff. But yeah, anyway, it's beside the point. If it's a fake, it's a decent one in terms of like the fine detail. It's just, it looks freaking weird. And maybe that's part of it. Is like, if you're going to fake it, you'd probably make it look better, probably make it look better. Okay. Let me see if I had any of this stuff pulled up. Oh yeah, only other thing, this one. Just so you know, I don't know what you're gonna do with this information, but here you go. Blizzard is reportedly working on a AAA open world shooter. MP First mentioned this. It's been rumored for a long time that they're working on like a StarCraft FPS. Who knows if it actually ends up seeing the light of day, but they have a bunch of job postings that specifically suggest that they're looking for it. So as you can see, like, studio's looking for a lead innovation designer to help lead development on an unnamed, quote, AAA open world shooter, which who knows what that is. But yeah, we'll see what they do with that. It's still probably years and years away. If they're hiring like somebody focused on what did they call it? Innovation designer. Like, that is probably very, very early in development. Let's be completely honest. Like, that's probably really, really early. So I would not expect anything too crazy, but time will tell. Yeah, and it's probably still a decade away. Again, let's just be perfectly honest. It's still a decade away. Oh, that's so stupid. I can hope, I can dream though, right? I think we can all do that. Let's see. Also, I just want to show you this one. Banana Brains put this out and I laughed really, really hard. The comment just simply reads, "This is incredible. It's like watching the same guy 3 times, just at different stages of his life." I thought it was pretty funny. And especially like the faces getting more and more like sad as time goes by also just like really makes it sell. You start out, you graduate high school and college, you're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, excited for what the future holds. Then you get your big boy job. Life isn't what you thought it would be. You're tired. You got to take your kids to school every morning. You don't know what to do. And then the years pass. You wake up one day. What happened? I was like, okay, that's pretty freaking hilarious. That's pretty amazing. I had to share that. Okay. Oh my goodness. Where is the other one I wanted to do? We have the one and only Drawn Out YouTube with us in chat, the one and only. I actually had one of Drawn Out's videos on our checkout list because he talked about the God, King, and Savior of gaming once more. So with Drawn Out's blessing, we could look at that. He is here with us in chat, and we could look at that. I will light the offering candle while we await his response, because we must pay homage. We must pay homage. Are you ready? Oh, please do. Don't mind if I do. Love your stuff, dude. You're killing it. You're killing it. Let's see what he's got. Okay. New segment thing. So the day has come once more for us to gather in honor and praise of him. Praise him. Praise Todd. Praise him. We'll wait for chat to catch up, but praise him. I saw a video pop up. We, of course, have the one and only Drawn Out on YouTube with us in chat here live. And so I felt it only appropriate to check out a video he put together highlighting some of the interviews Todd himself has done in the last few weeks, honestly. Because if you missed it, Todd has been doing the press tour to promote at first DLSS 5, and then I think some of that stuff was pulled back. But then he's also done press interviews for like the Starfield updates that they are working on, and that launch very soon. I think the 7th is when Starfield, whatever they're calling it, launches, which is going to be interesting. We'll talk about that when the time comes. But in these interviews, of course, a lot of stuff is brought up about Bethesda's processes, about Elder Scrolls 6, about Fallout 76, Fallout 5, all these things. And in classic Todd fashion, things maybe are dodged a wee bit. So I figured it would be appropriate for us to check it out and see what Drawn Out had to say. I also really like the little plant that is on the desk. I think that's a great addition. Let's see.
So Todd Howard did 2 interviews last week, one with IGN and one with Mortismal Gaming. So we're just going to go through the highlights of these interviews and talk about them, starting with IGN's.
Still sticking with creation. Creation Engine 2 with Starfield, but moving to a 3rd iteration of the engine with Elder Scrolls 6. What are the things that you need out of a 3rd iteration of creation as you are building a new game for it?
One thing I will say, the sound is good. Where's the best plot? I'll just go here. When we looked at this interview the first time, I was in the middle and I just turned back and forth between them. The sound is good, but it's like so heavily post-processed that it makes it sound like almost redubbed. Like, with The Room, did you ever watch The Room, where they redid all of the VO because all of the recorded audio was terrible. It kind of gives me those vibes where it's like a little too perfect for the setting, and it just hits my ear weird. But anyway, continuing. Sorry, Luke got distracted. Classic.
Ah, gosh, I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, look, you get your whiz-bang rendering shiny pixel stuff that everyone would expect.
Yeah, nobody.
I also just want to say that almost certainly is a reference to DLSS 5. Because bear in mind, Todd, I'm pretty sure, filmed the whole like tidbit about DLSS 5 that he announced on the same day that this press event happened, and he was in front of the stairs off to the left of here. And so I think when he's talking about shiny pixels and stuff, he's talking about DLSS 5. I'm pretty sure. The other thing is, like, whenever Todd doesn't want to say anything too specific, he'll just be like, I don't want to spoil, which usually means that there's not a lot to say. Yeah, true, same outfit. I thought so. I think what it is that he did this. They had press coming, so he got dolled up. I don't know if he, like, no judgment, if he needs a perm or whatever. I don't know what he does. But he got all dolled up, and they did this event, and then they did the NVIDIA thing for DLSS 5. And so I think when he's talking about shiny pixels, that's what he's talking about, which is really funny, because I swear to God, if they try to sell Elder Scrolls 6 with DLSS 5 turned on by default, I'm going to lose it. No candle? Dude, it's burning. Todd's always burning in our hearts. It's just getting low. You see, we're getting low. Shoddy got low. Todd did indeed. Continuing.
You get your whiz-bang rendering shiny pixel stuff that everyone would expect.
Yeah, nobody expects that from you, Todd. Nobody expects Bethesda to have shiny pixels. And it's not delusion on Todd's part. He knows that this isn't true. But you got to remember throughout both these interviews that Todd is a politician, not a game developer.
I will say, honestly, John, I've always used the term Todd as a salesman. Politician also works really, really well, because politician like is really good at spinning stuff. And I was thinking of it in the context of like a used car salesman or a broker or something, where you give them some feedback and they're always going to spin it and flip it, and they have something to pivot away. You say, hey, Todd, the engine or the game Starfield only runs at 30 FPS at launch. Why? It's like, well, I understand that, but it's because we can do all of the physics simulation. We can do 1,000 plants. We can do, and he immediately pivots away from the thing that you want to talk about. Like, why does the game only run at 30 in 2023? And pivots away to something that is more positive. He's very good at that. He's a very good salesman. But I do think politician is also a good term for it.
But obviously, when you have a spaceship, you're like, well, I want to fly to that planet. I want to fly. Let's take that moment of like just even like flying around the moon. And we notice mods, people doing it. Like, well, clearly the game can do it.
For this question,
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll live.
The interview asked something about modding. The question isn't really important. It's just Todd's comment here. Like, bro, what do you mean when you saw modders do it, you knew it was possible? You worked for 8 years on Starfield, and you didn't know if flying around the moon was possible?
Oblivion, because it's remastered.
Dude, seriously, like, this is how Bethesda works, is it really does seem like they put out the bare minimum, and then they wait to see what the community does, and they're like, oh, that's cool, let's do that. Like, that really is the process. We joke about it, but it's real. Like, they actually say that they do that. They're like, oh, the community did this. I didn't even know the game could do it. Emil, did you see? Look what they did. We can do that too, I bet. Okay, cool. Like, that's how they do it. It's wild.
When you play it again, it's a very clear game where you, a couple hours in, you're like, I think I chose wrong. And after Oblivion, I felt very strongly, I was seeing that a lot and thinking, I don't want that in my games. I don't want someone to be like, I made a mistake several hours ago and I have no way of correcting it.
So I agree with this in some way. Like, there are some things that are just annoying to have to go back and redo. Probably a perfect example would be skill points. Any game that has skill points that you assign into different things, it's nice when they let you, like, redo it. But Todd really doesn't like consequence in your choice at all. He wants everything to always be open, you to never be locked out of anything for a playthrough, and he usually just makes the world feel very disconnected. It is actually nice when the developer punishes you for a choice you made, because, I mean, it's a video game, and if I really don't like what happened there, I likely have a save to go back to. And if not, I can replay the game and pick something else. It just makes the world feel much more reactive to you when you can actually be locked out of things.
I totally agree, and I do think that the evidence is pretty clear that Todd's direction for the studio and for their games in the last 20 years has been to move away from consequence and towards this, like, I wonder what we could call it. Maybe there is like an actual term for it, but it is that sort of all forgiving type of game. It's a Jesus game. Like, no matter what you do, it forgives you. You know, you kill it literally in Starfield. You go up to a quest giver, shoot him in the face. He doesn't die. He lays down, gets on all fours, and is prone. And you leave, you come back an in-game day later, and he's standing up and is like, why did you do that? Like, it's really, really frustrating because it removes any sense of immersion, and it, as Drawn Out points it out, it removes the feeling of like the world actually reacting to you, because it's not. It's literally not. Whatever you do, the game is like, okay. It's like gentle parenting, but for game design. It's just like, stop. I mean, yeah, you can still have your dessert, even though you just kicked me in the shin, but stop. There you go. No, don't do that. Here we go. Like, it's just, there is no consequence for anything. It's infuriating. And what's, I think, so fascinating is that I feel like the feedback has been very, very clear for a long time. What is like the cult classic Fallout game? What do many people consider to be the best Fallout game of all time? New Vegas. People point to that. And one of the most clear things with that game is that it is full of consequence. I mean, it's like Consequence the game. And I constantly bring up the point that you can go tilde kill all in the console commands, hit enter, and every NPC, quest giver, animal, everything, every entity in the game will drop dead, and you will get a flood for like 30 minutes of ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, of quest given, quest failed, quest failed, quest failed, and it'll just let you kill every single person and fail the quest. You can literally get to the last possible moment of the Caesar's Legion, Caesar's Legion quest line, get right up to the wall where you're about to lean in and go fully into that ending, and then you can kill him. Quest failed. Can't get that ending anymore. Fallout 4, all of that's removed, all of that's stripped out. Like, Fallout 76, there was no story period when it launched, except for like audio logs. But with Starfield, also consequence even more whittled down and stripped out. Fallout 4, you know, a lot of that is, with Skyrim. Skyrim's weird also, though, because Skyrim is like the ultimate junk food fantasy game, but it was a product of its time, which is why I think Skyrim got away with it the way that they did. Because in Skyrim, like, you go to the College of Winterhold, and in like 15 minutes, you're in charge of the school. You know, like, it's not at all trying to be grounded. And the moment you start to think about it, it just feels weird. It's like, what are we doing? So you can't really think about it, which is why it's like, it's junk food. Just enjoy it. Don't think about it too much, and you'll have a good time. But I do think it's very clear that Todd's approach the last 20 years really has been that the games get steadily less complex. Maybe complex is the wrong word. Steadily less intense. They become much less rigid in their rules and application of those rules, and it just starts to let you do whatever you want, even if that ultimately means that everybody ends up just having the same experience because the game doesn't want to punish you for doing something naughty. Let's see. Okay, continue.
Here you were mentioning,
thank you for the super chats, guys. I will catch up on those momentarily. Thank you.
You know, time from announcement to actual release, and how that's like something you're a little bit more conscious of now. You know, talk about the Elder Scrolls 6 reveal.
Just pretend we didn't announce it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you.
No one's heard a word.
I think while it might sound like a joke, he's just saying the truth out loud. He really wishes they never talked about Elder Scrolls 6. And he would really love for people to stop asking him about it. None of it makes any sense because it's not like people haven't asked Valve about Half-Life 3. If they didn't announce Elder Scrolls 6, they would probably get 100 times more questions about it. It's not like we would just forget that it exists.
You know, if you look back at this Fallout 76, Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6 announcement, you know, that was really around informing our audience, because when you're gonna do something new, everyone's going to ask, like, what about Elder Scrolls 6? What about a single player game?
When you do something,
I think that is just a little tell though, because that 2018 was a year, and I do appreciate that Todd understands this. When you do something that seems like a total departure from your norm, you kind of have to couch it or sandwich it. You know, like how you're taught, do the compliment sandwich when you have bad news. Hey, love your outfit. You've got toilet paper hanging out of your ass. You smell nice. You know, like you have to couch it or sandwich it. Nice, bad, nice. And with 2018's showcase for Bethesda, it literally was that. It was like, we have Fallout 76. People are not going to be thrilled because it's a live service Fallout, and like that doesn't seem right for the franchise. But like we have it, and we have Starfield. So like we have Starfield, don't be mad at us, and we have Elder Scrolls 6. So no, you really can't be mad at us because we showed you all this stuff. I think the other piece of it too, in addition to just trying to avoid the drama. So if single player gamers were upset with Fallout 76's announcement, they could still talk about Elder Scrolls 6. I think the other reason that they did it, as I've said for years at this point, Jesus, going on a decade, is that I think it's pretty clear they were actively shopping around for a buyer at that point, and just a little while after that, they would get acquired by Xbox. I don't think it's a coincidence that ZeniMax as a company kind of blew their load and shared everything they had going on right before they enter into final contract negotiations with a buyer. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's pretty clear that they were trying to prime the stage, you know, before they were acquired, to show Xbox, see, we are not worth $6.5 billion. We're worth $7.5 billion. Did you see the reaction to Elder Scrolls 6? Yeah, that could be yours. I think it's probably both. But anyway.
something new, everybody's going to ask about the other stuff we were also doing. Yeah, Todd, that makes sense. Of course, people are going to be curious about the franchises they love.
And, you know, we did it that way, but it's not my preference. I will say, look, we struggle with the balance because, you know, our fans want to know, they're amazing, and saying like, well, what are you doing?
You still struggle with the balance? Bethesda Softworks was founded in 1986. Todd joined in 1994.
It's the 40th anniversary.
And they struggle with communication still? They don't know how to talk about stuff? A little fun fact about these videos is recording voice for me is the hardest part. I really struggle with communication. But if I was doing this for 22 years, I think I'd be pretty good at it.
And
again, I get what he's saying, where he's like, it's hard to strike the balance between what we reveal and what we keep secret because we want it to be exciting, but we also want to answer people's questions so that they're, you know, not going totally stir crazy. I get what he's effectively saying, but also like, Todd, your company regularly, I don't know if, I think at this point it's approaching lying, but your company regularly says things and then does not follow through at all. Like back last March, the company on their official Twitter page or X page said to a fan, we will share more about the exciting things coming to Starfield later this year, and then said nothing for the rest of the year. Like nothing. Which is insane that there's any question at all. Like I get being mysterious and leaving stuff up to the imagination, but then you have like actively saying one thing and doing the literal opposite, which is what they've done for years. And furthermore, we've talked about it many, many times, but Bethesda's general approach with communication and their PR teams has been pretty abysmal, in my opinion. The fact that we had multiple scandals related to their customer service team and how they communicate with customers, almost like half decade apart, is amazing to me. With Fallout 76, there were multiple stories of like their customer support team asking people to write essays apologizing for exploits and cheating and stuff in order to get their accounts reinstated. That blew up into its own scandal. 5 years later, there's another scandal because people are saying they're refunding Starfield because it's boring, and their customer support agents are going in and saying, well, the astronauts weren't bored when they went to the moon. Like, it's actually insane. It seems like a company culture issue, the fact that it happens year after year after year after year after year, you know? Like, at some point, I don't think they're just isolated incidents, you know? It's like once it's an occurrence, twice it's a pattern, 3 times it's a goddamn rule, okay?
Just finding the right times to tell everybody about it. You look at Starfield today. I feel like the Starfield audience has been What about us?
Yeah, the Starfield audience has been like, what about us? I'm glad you're so worried about the Starfield audience, Todd. But the Elder Scrolls
There are literally dozen of us.
and Fallout audiences, I mean, hey, they can wait 15, 20 years for a game, you know, not a
Literally.
big deal.
Thanks, and thanks to our Starfield audience out there who's just given us so much great feedback, and you know, the millions playing it. We're just really, really fortunate with a new game like this.
There's not millions of people playing the game, Todd. Where the fuck do you get that? I'll just look it up right now. Okay, Steam charts show a peak of 5,868 today. So am I to believe that there are 995,000 people playing on Xbox? I'm sure he means something like overall, but the way he talks about it, you would think it's like right now.
Like what hardware?
Well, I think it's just like this is just what's driven me kind of crazy about Todd in recent years. Is just that like I've said it before, I even get flack for it. Todd is a legend of the industry, okay? He's been around forever. He's worked on some of the most well-known and well-respected and like highly praised IP and games in history. That being said, like I feel like he never at this point is truly being genuine. Like there's always this PR corporate spin. So and it makes it so you can't really believe much of anything. Like, I don't think Todd is actively trying to lie about stuff. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't think he's actively trying to deceive his audience or anything. I just think that he's so caught up in this like corpo spin mentality that he can't be real anymore. Like, I'd respect it so much if he was just like straight up, yeah, no, I get it. I'm frustrated with the delays. Yeah, well, Starfield, we were hoping that it would connect with more people. It just, you know, didn't. And I think a lot of the feedback was fair. And, you know, we're trying to respond to that and react to that. I would appreciate if he was just like totally direct and real, but instead it's always, yeah, we have this many millions of players and this many hours of playtime. I'm like, can we just put down the corpo guard? You're owned by Microsoft now. You don't have to sell yourself to anybody anymore. You're at the top, dude. You're at the top. You can do whatever. You know, like, I just think he can't get out of that mentality of like sell. And it just, once you see through it, it kind of breaks your perception of everything he says, you know, and it's just really, really difficult. You know, somebody who's really, really kind of the opposite about this is like, I think, not just because he pops in chat every once in a while, but Cory Barlog. Like, you watch an interview with Cory, doing any interview for any of the games he's working on, and it's just like night and day how just totally genuine he is. Oh, I remember this.
Have you been called Cory Balrog?
Oh, good lord. Millions.
Scale of 1 to 10, how surprising is this game going to be?
10.
Does Kratos kill Norse gods?
Maybe.
Wasn't the world super destroyed at the end of God of War 3?
The Greek world, yes.
Did Kratos leave all of his old weapons in Greece?
You'll find out.
If you had to guess, how many people has Kratos killed?
3,432.
Is Kratos still a god?
Yes.
Immortal?
Yes.
You guys gonna do something bigger than this?
You'll have to see.
Was Atreus conceived via minigame?
He was a product of the union of love, not a minigame.
Is Atreus going to be annoying?
No.
Okay, but seriously, like, what's the thing he's going to say that we're all just going to be like, again?
Yatta!
Does this game contain a powerful message about the importance of abstinence?
Yes.
Can the kid get killed via gameplay?
No.
But if he did...
Dude, I would low-key love it if, if Kratos at one point sits down with Atreus.
Boy, when a man and a woman want to make minigame, they press X square circle.
I think it'd be awesome. I'd love it. I'd love it. You get what I'm saying though. Like he's very sorry, squirrel, I got distracted again. But you see what I mean? Like it's just a different vibe entirely of somebody just being like, yeah, let's hang out, let's chat. Versus what I feel like Todd has, which is just always walls up, very rigid, very corpo. And it's just like, bro, be real. I think Todd's probably genuinely a really cool dude. I think Todd is probably an awesome dude to get a drink with and hang out with. But we never get to see that side of Todd because now it's just so corporate. And maybe it's corporate because like he's got so many eyeballs on him and because like he's dealt with a lot of criticism over the years. I get that. But I think that this isn't helping. Like, I think if he did the Mark Zuckerberg refresh, Todd gets his mullet going, he starts wearing the Lululemon shirts. I do think that little brand revitalization could really help BGS come off as less bizarre and more authentic. I think that would help. He's got to do that refresh. Speaking of, I gotta just appreciate that. What do they call that? A glow up? Like, seriously, Mark Zuckerberg a few years ago looks like an actual robot versus when he started trying to do it. I don't know what this Sweet Robin season 8. Yeah, it's just this is what Todd needs. Todd needs this. He needs a refresh, a glow up. Okay, that's what he needs. And one of these coats. That's what he needs. He's one of these. That's what you need. Oh, that would be funny. Anyway, continuing.
Is even going to be available for consumers. Like I know with Star.
A fedora refresh? Okay, if Todd, can you imagine if it's just all the same? It says the same stuff across the board, but Todd just starts wearing a fedora everywhere. Actually, I'd be in for that.
There was that meme going around about you might have to upgrade your PC for this one type of thing. So how's that?
Bro,
Todd does not like the meme. He does not like the meme at all. Credit to Mortismo Gaming for that one because, man.
So another thing
I will say, Mortismo, shout out Mortismo. He asked some kind of uncomfortable questions that Todd usually doesn't get asked. Usually the questions are pretty couched and soft. And at this point, Todd's looking away from him. He's looking off in the distance. He's looking at the PR person. He's like, who invited Mortismo? Who invited this guy? I said no to Luke, and you let this guy in?
to ask, obviously, is speaking of updates, when you guys put out the Fallout 4 anniversary, and I saw a lot of conversation around how it broke people's mods and all of that thing.
The conversation was mostly about...
Dude, I love the question. It's a good question. It makes me so uncomfortable because I can tell. I was like, the hell did you just ask me? You asked me about the mods breaking stuff? Dude, it's uncomfortable, but I kind of love it.
Conversation.
Seriously, just watch, enhance, watch Todd's hands. Watch the hands. The hands give it away. They stop moving when Todd doesn't like what you say. Watch, enhance.
Another thing I wanted to ask, obviously, is speaking of updates, when you guys put out the Fallout 4 anniversary, and I saw a lot of conversation around how it broke people's mods and all of that thing.
The conversation.
Classic. It's a good old poker tell. When you hit the nail on the head, they freeze. Yep. Can see right through it, Todd. We should play poker.
It was mostly about how Bethesda broke the actual game, not the mods. The mods are a big deal, but it's a much bigger deal to completely brick your game for 18 months.
Well, first, the way Fallout 4 released, we always know that there's going to be some level of that, particularly, obviously, on PC, because some things are complicated. There was too much on that game, though, right? On that release, there was too many, and there were a couple holes we had that we needed to shore up. But we're still in a place where it doesn't go as smoothly as even we would want.
Yeah, I sure hope it's not as smooth as you would want it, Todd. He's talking about the release of the anniversary edition there. Just so funny how he says there was too much in it and that was the problem. Yeah, it wasn't that big of an update, dude. And they had some holes to shore up, he says. The holes being how VATS was unusable, how any face mod would completely brick your game, and just the numerous other issues that the update had.
And so you have your very informed users that are kind of at the top of the pyramid that we're thinking about, but there's a larger one where their game's just going to break and they have no understanding why, even if we're providing it.
That is not true at all. there's not this huge group of people modding Bethesda games that have no idea what's going on. If you're modding a Bethesda game, you probably follow them a little bit. Just even understanding how to mod a game, you probably understand that the mods can break. It's probably the complete opposite of what he said, where there's a large amount of people that understand what's going on and a small amount of people that don't. And again, breaking mods was an issue, but not the main issue.
I think what Todd is maybe misunderstanding, or what he's going with, I think Todd's referencing like the console mods. So the mods through the Creation Club, through sorry, they don't call it Creation Club, creations. I think that's what he's referring to, because I do think that there's probably a lot of people on console who are playing the game, have mods installed through that system, and when the update hits and all of a sudden their game doesn't post and boot, like oh, what's happening? You know, they don't understand what's happening. Whereas on PC, when you're actually going in and like replacing files and stuff, or you're using Vortex to do it, certainly you have a better understanding. But I'm guessing that's probably what he is interpreting, where he's latching on to the console piece.
The main issue, of course, was how you broke the fucking game.
We're really, really happy with that program, how it's going for both free stuff and paid stuff.
Really
and
happy
our
about
own
that.
stuff. And I think our issue now actually is getting that content in front of more people, because we think it's so good.
So here he's talking about creations and how they think they're just so good and they have a hard time getting them in front of people. You are owned by Microsoft, a multi-trillion-dollar company. If you guys believed that something was so good and people just needed to see it, it would be advertised to us. But you don't. You know most of it is slop. And you're perfectly fine just cashing that check.
Well, we talked about it. What was that? Does somebody in chat know? We looked at a YouTuber that does Fallout 76 creations, like haul videos, where he looks at the updates for each like month and covers them. And what he put out was like, dude, some of the stuff that is in that shop is unbelievable. Like it is you know, a white t-shirt and then a red version of the t-shirt. Jonah says Mr. Church. That sounds right. Yeah, Mr. Church. Let me see. Mr. Church Fallout 76 shop. Let's see. Yeah, this is one we looked at a month ago. Like some of these are just insane. Like $15.
Oh, in case someone took it down before I could tattle on you. Anyway, this is disgusting.
Let me go back to the beginning.
It reached an all-time low over the weekend. And I don't know if you took the bundle out before today, so I wouldn't notice it. But like I play the game. I logged in, I saw it, you know what I mean? And I took some video in case someone took it down before I could tattle on you. Anyway, this is disgusting behavior. Stop doing it. I hate it. It's repulsive. Everyone's mad about it. And actually, whenever I see this stuff, it...
Let me go back further. Which one is he talking about specifically?
Okay, and in order, list off what's in them. It doesn't help you.
We're almost there. And we're close. We're close.
A day, they've still been in the shop.
Sorry, fam. Sorry.
Anyway, this thing's really cool. I really like it, and I love the lights on it. I think the lights are so cool. Such a nice little touch, and they're not like super washed out, garishly white. They're pretty muted. They don't take over the whole place. They're not stupid spotlights. They are dim because they're in a dying vehicle. Whoever has been working on these camp items lately actually has been eating down, but whoever has been working on the Atom shop lately has been throwing up. Now, they've been doing this thing where they have been updating the shop, and they add like a weekend sale, okay? And I haven't been making an extra video to cover those because up until this day, they've still been in the shop the following Tuesday when I made my video, so I could talk about it then. But this one they got rid of, and I think I know why. This is the burned something bundle, okay? It's not a bundle that I recognize the name of. In the picture of it, it doesn't show random different assortment of items. It just shows a cat, okay? But then when you look in the bundle, not only does it not list anything down here to tell you what's in it, and there's no picture to show what should be in it, but there's actually empty pictures and things missing. For example, where's the cat? You know what I mean? So this could have so many items in it that are not even shown because they don't even have pictures for it. And in my opinion, this is the most egregious thing that they've done so far. And I think I said that last week and the week before. So whoever's been putting the shop together, like, I sincerely hope that you're going to be replaced by someone who can actually do their job soon. Because
like, this is literally the stuff Todd is describing as being so good, they just want to get it in front of more people. Like, he literally just said, yeah, the creations, there's a lot of good free content, a lot of good paid content, and our focus now is just getting it in front of more people because we think it's so good. Like, this is the type of stuff he's talking about. This is the in-game store for Fallout 76 and the paid mods for it, and it's like laughably terrible. It's unbelievable. This is the stuff that he's hyping up. It's wild.
There's been a lot of talk with Bethesda about how long in between releases, especially as that's going on. That's just taking longer and longer. Skyrim was coming up on 15 years ago. That's right.
Todd does not find it funny. He does not find it funny when you bring up release gaps. Man, I think it is absolutely gold, his reactions to when Mortismal says this stuff. The absolute dead stare, never cracking a smile at it. Man, it is delectable.
Has there been any interest in smaller games or working on smaller projects that are faster to produce, things like that? Because I think Bethesda is known for scale, and yet some of the demand, or at least the request for that type of thing, I guess you could call it, is something that would be faster paced. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we feel we're going very fast. I get the point on sort of, your big tentpole releases, but look, given our scale, we're doing more than
What was he gonna say there? What was he gonna say? You're doing more than who? He was gonna make a comparison there. He caught himself and he stopped, but he was gonna compare Bethesda to someone, or maybe even the industry at large. Bro, it is fucking hilarious that he would even imply that they're as active as other studios. In fact, I have a whole video about this topic you may have seen.
we have more in development, more releases over the last few years than we've had. And with that, you have to, keep in mind Fallout 76, such a big thing for us.
Okay.
Bro, what did I say earlier? This is what it drives me crazy. Again, he knows what we're talking about. He knows that we're asking questions about like the big releases that the core fan base, the single player fan base wants, and how those take for freaking ever. You have to wait for freaking 20 years for a new Fallout game. Like, that's what the question is. And it pivots back to Fallout 76. We're doing more than ever before. We have paid mods in all these games, which are so great. Again, the ones that are so great that like they're literally, putting item bundles on the store. It's the burn down bundle. The placeholder picture is a cat. Pictures are missing. They don't tell you what's in the bundle. It is so unbelievably lazy. And yet that's what he truly thinks is an adequate replacement for regular game releases. And again, Skyrim's 15 years ago. 15. There were people who were an infant when Skyrim launched who can now legally drive. By the time Elder Scrolls 6 launches, they'll be able to legally vote, probably. For him to pivot and say, actually, I think we're doing more than... I'm not sure if he was going to compare himself to a studio. I know some people are like, oh, he was going to say he's done more than Activision, or they do more than Rockstar or whatever. I think he was probably going to say, we've been doing more than ever before. I think that's what he was going to say. But even I think he caught himself because he knows how ridiculous that is to say, because everybody's going to be like, really, dude? It was 7 years between the release of Skyrim and the reveal of Elder Scrolls 6. It has now been going on 8 years since the reveal of the game. And we still are probably a couple of years away from it. It's just insane. This is why it drives me kind of crazy when he knows what the question is and it's a pivot. This is why I'm telling you, Todd, just stop with the sales pivots. If you're just real with the audience, I think they'll connect with you. They'll appreciate it. Be like, yeah, dude, I'm also kind of frustrated. We're trying to find ways to expedite our process while retaining quality. I'm not happy about how long it's taking either. I'm really frustrated by it, frankly. And I think it's largely unacceptable that it's going to take us 20 years between Fallout games. I'm not happy about that at all. So I am working my ass off every day to find a way to fix that and to get these games to our fans faster while retaining the same quality that they expect. If he just said that, I think we'd be like, oh, cool. But instead, every single time it's like, well, but if you look at Fallout 76, look at the store. It's like, shut up. I can't stand it.
Okay, it's just factually incorrect that they've had more releases recently than they used to. If you're a viewer of this channel, you are very aware of that. And of course, he has to bring it back to Fallout 76. How many updates have they done, Todd? Tell us.
We're on our...
My queen is here. The queen. Hello, queen. Welcome, queen. How are you? I am Squid. She is Squid.
I'm Squid.
Bow to her. Bow to Queen Squid.
I got them.
Oh, she look at the nails. She got her nails redid. Yeah. That's nice. I like it. Nikki's big into key lime pie, and that reminds me of key lime pie. I don't eat key lime pie.
That's my fun fact.
Yeah. No, she's big into key lime pie. Yeah. Yes. Quite. How are you? How's the fellas or fella?
I don't. With your mom.
Oh yeah, but you dropped him off.
Good.
Yeah. How is Orange Theory? How's the workout?
Good. It hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of running and rowing.
Good. Yeah. Oh, I don't love the rowing. They do benchmarks at Orange Theory, and there's regularly benchmarks that they do where it's like 2,000 meter, and you have to do it as fast as you can. And they stopped announcing beforehand what the row is going to be because so many people were not coming when they found out it's going to be a big row day. They just bail and don't show up. Yeah. So they're like, we're not going to tell you when we're doing it anymore because people stopped coming.
No, today was like you sprint as fast as you can for like a certain amount of time, and then you row.
Yeah.
And then back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
I'm self-conscious now.
Why?
Because I keep seeing my belly button. And I'm like...
It's okay. Mine shows every once in a while, but it's not intentional. It gets caught on the desk and then rides up, and then I lean back, and then my belly button flashes. It's a regular problem. Anyway, we are wrapping up our discussion of Mortismal with Todd.
Wow.
We are closing it out.
I was going to take the dog for a walk.
Oh,
see if he wanted to come.
He would appreciate that very much. I'm sure.
I'm just pulling my pants.
There was a bird in the tree, and Romeo was barking at it, and like this bird started like teasing him. It was like jumping down to lower branches, and Romeo was like jumping up trying to get to it.
Surprise.
Yeah, the bird was trolling him is what I'm saying. But yeah, he'll appreciate that. I should wrap up relatively soon. Yeah. Much love.
Yeah. Love you too.
Okay, here I go. Okay. Is Orange Theory a shadow sponsor, Luke? Everything is orange in the channel. Oh my God. You're right. I should go to them. I'm not sponsored. I'm just trying to get them to. Okay, let's finish this out. We're almost there.
67th update that's coming.
How many updates have they done, Todd? Tell us.
We're on our 67th update that's coming out, I think. So the amount of things, if you look at like going out the door as far as updates and everything, it's a lot. And again, our trick is with our scale, feeding these massive franchises that people love while building new ones.
67.
Again, it's just, this is the thing that I think is just, I think Todd thinks he's building the Fallout 76 fan base. It's not. I think what's happening is that he's actively degrading it. You're getting people to give up on it. And when we see other studios, like imagine if Pearl Abyss had something in the same vein that appealed to like Fallout fans. Because right now, like Crimson Desert, a lot of the people that I've been following on social media, like they are actively comparing it. They're like, I haven't felt this way since Skyrim. You know, it's that pure sandbox game. And I think a lot of people, when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, are going to be pointing back to Crimson Desert being like, yeah, well, look at the scale they had there. Look at like the density of foliage. Look at the graphics. Look at this, the motion capture. And they're going to compare it back to that game constantly. And with, but I just don't think that Bethesda can get away with the way that they've done things for so long. Like 67 updates in a live service game in 8 years is solid, I'm sure, but you compare it even like to what you're seeing with other studios, their output is not remarkable. Those updates are mainly like little bug fixes and patches and then new shop items. Like that's the vast majority of stuff they're doing for Fallout 76. Occasionally there's a big expansion that they drop, like they add in a new little region or something like that, but the vast majority of the updates are like small little bite-sized things with shop updates. And so to pretend as though your output has actually increased significantly is crazy. And it's also done constantly with like one answer is used when it's convenient and then it's disused when it's not. So like there's points brought up about Bethesda's capacity for development, and Todd brings up, well, we have multiple teams. So the team that does Fallout 76 is separate from the team doing Elder Scrolls, so we can work on both at the same time. But then when output for the Bethesda team that's doing Elder Scrolls is brought up, it's like, hey, the Maryland team, their output has plummeted and the quality seems to have dipped. Why is Maryland taking so long to work on stuff? He pivots back and says, well, Fallout 76 is getting all these updates. And it's like, bro, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like either, I'm not talking about the broad company. And that's what I think constantly happens, is that it's pivoted back and forth when it's convenient. And it makes it so there's no actual like beneficial conversation. It's just you're talking past each other the whole time.
And updates for 76 is a lot, and it's great Bethesda stuck by it and didn't just toss it out. But
Agreed.
Todd, you know as well as everybody else does, that's not what we're asking about. 76 is such a double-edged sword. I have put a sizable amount of time in that game, and like I said, if you make your own fun in it, it can be fun. But that is the same for any video game. 76 just happens to be in the world that I love. But because of 76, it has boldened Bethesda into thinking updates count as games or something. It's crazy.
We always want...
Well, I'm sure he's in his head, he's looking at man hours spent because he's running a company. And so he's like, yeah, the man hours and the salaries and stuff that we're paying for Fallout 76 updates is higher than it was even when we were actively developing Fallout 4. The point all of us are bringing is that, yeah, and we don't want it. We would rather you put that money and time and resources into Fallout 5. Like, I do understand that, to be clear, he gets this. Todd's not stupid. It's just a constant pivot salesmanship thing of like, yeah, if you're really frustrated with Fallout 5 taking forever, go play Fallout 76. And we all know damn well that's because it's better for the bottom line to be able to get people in there spending money on paid mods and stuff. But there's just no true appreciation of what the core fan base wants. And this is why ultimately all of these conversations with Todd end up being so frustrating to watch, is because Todd's never actually having the same conversation with you that you're having with him. If you're trying to ask these types of questions, it's a constant pivot. It's a constant dance to a different topic that is more comfortable or is better for BGS as a company. Because to anybody with two eyeballs, you can see that the output of the single player team has dropped. It's grown less impressive. They aren't seemingly able to keep up with other AAA players in the space. Except anytime you try to bring it up, it pivots away to what this other team is doing, Fallout 76. It's freaking infuriating.
I want to be faster about it, but I don't ever want to make that the goal. I think when you just focus on speed and getting things out, maybe you don't do your best work. Maybe they're not as special as they could be for the audience.
Todd really equates time waited with specialness. He really thinks just waiting a long time for something will make it better. And of course there's some truth to that. Nobody sees a Call of Duty release as special, but there is absolutely a happy medium to this. It doesn't have to be yearly, and it doesn't have to be 15 to 20 year gaps. You were fine before.
Well, and to be clear, the long gaps, it's a double-edged sword. If you take 10 years between games, when you announce that new game, people are going to lose their minds and be super excited because it's been so long. When they drop that first trailer for Fallout 5, I guarantee you it's going viral within 30 seconds. I mean, it's going to be everywhere. Our phones are going to blow up. Your friend from high school is going to be like, bro, they just dropped it. It's going to go crazy. But with that double-edged sword means that on the other side of the blade, you've got the downside, which is that if it doesn't live up to the expectations, if it's not in line with industry standards at that time, you're going to get eaten alive, baby. You can't take 20 years between releases and then release something mediocre and expect your fan base to go along with it. It doesn't work that way. Exactly, Kyle. Like, expectations go up with the time that's waited. Like, excitement and anticipation goes up, but so does the bar. And I think everybody is aware that like Bethesda's ability to meet that bar is at the very least in question. With Starfield, nobody knew what to expect because it was a new IP, a new game. So who knows if they're going to be able to meet that standard, because nobody knows what the standard is. With Elder Scrolls, we know what that standard is. And in the wake and in the aftermath of Skyrim, there's been so many amazing single-player games, even specifically single-player open-world sandbox games, open-world RPG games. Like when Elder Scrolls 6 launches, you will probably be actively comparing it in your head when you play it to games like The Witcher 3, to games like Red Dead 2, A Crimson Desert, a freaking probably Witcher 4 by that point. Do we honestly, Tainted Grail as well, direct inspiration from Skyrim. That's a good one too. Do we honestly truly believe that they're going to come out and like be able to knock the socks off of those games and be put in that generational tier? I don't know. But I think Todd knows that the standard is up there, and that's a high bar to clear.
I also feel sometimes there are franchises too where you want them to breathe a little bit. You know, saying all that, like, hey, we get it. You know, obviously we're in development on Elder Scrolls 6, and coming back to that, we hadn't developed Elder Scrolls in that way in a while.
Oh, we know you haven't developed Elder Scrolls like that in a while. Everybody is fully aware of that, Todd. And the comment about letting them breathe a little bit. What the fuck
about
is
Fallout?
A little bit? A kid who was born when Skyrim was released can get their driver's license next year.
Dude, literally what I'm thinking. I mean, if they were born in 2010 and they were like an infant when Skyrim launched, I guess it launched in November. So less than a year old, if they were born December of 2010, they're still under a year old. They could drive now, which is crazy. But also, like, when he says it's important to let franchises breathe, like, what about Fallout though? Like, you've got Fallout 76. That's not breathing for sure. You're not letting it breathe. I guess it's a double entendre. But like, there's that, there's the show, there's all these things going on with Fallout, except what people really want. And then Elder Scrolls is going to launch. The show will end. The Fallout show will probably end in the next couple of years or few years. Fallout 76 will continue to kind of like taper off slowly, as every live service game does. And so is that the idea, that Elder Scrolls 6 will launch and then wait 5 years and drop Fallout 5, and that's letting it breathe? It's just, it doesn't really make sense. It's not very consistent.
It's been awesome for us, right? Being able to dive in and sit there and say, I'm playing Elder Scrolls 6. We pinch ourselves as well.
Oh, that's adorable, Todd. I'm so glad you're sitting there fucking pinching yourselves. What, do you run around high-fiving every time you add a new fetch quest?
Yeah. At the end of the day, my preference is to not talk about the stuff. And then, you know, my perfect version is one day it just appears. Yeah. That probably won't be the case.
Yeah, in Todd's perfect world, we're all just lobotomites that have no idea that they're making a new Elder Scrolls or Fallout game. We just completely forgot that they could even do it, which is actually true. I don't believe that they can do it like they used to. But he would just rather we never talk about it. So he doesn't like that people are excited. You would think he would take pride in how much people are excited and want to play this game. But instead he says he'd rather not talk about it and wish they never announced it. It's pretty fucking weird messaging if you ask me. But yeah, thanks for watching. Leave
Well, it's, I think the extra eyeballs on it is probably uncomfortable for sure, but you know, he just doesn't like that. Again, go sub to Drawn Out. I'm going to link the video in chats so you guys can go show him some love. Again, he's in chat with us today, does great stuff, blew up onto the scene in the last few months, and there's a reason. It's very, very good. Great channel. But overall, I think it's just, at this point, for years and years and years, I think Todd was part of the reason that these games sold so well, because he's an amazing salesman. He knows how to frame games to help them sell and pop off. But nowadays, I think he is constantly in his own way, and it's too bad. I think he just constantly can't get out of his own way, and that leads into these types of situations where the double talk, the weird, like, mixed messaging, the constant pivots to things that nobody else was talking about. It's at the point where now it's just frustrating. Like, it's just frustrating. It used to be that we could watch like an interview with Todd and get something really substantive and like substantial to talk about and discuss. But nowadays it feels like every time you boot into a conversation with Todd, it's just going to be, I'll ask you a question, and then you're going to pivot and ramble about Fallout 76 for 10 minutes. And then we're going to be like, okay, well, why am I here? You know, like, it's just frustrating. But who knows, maybe when he actually has stuff to talk about with Elder Scrolls 6 and stuff, it'll be more substantive and useful. But as of right now, it's just frustrating as hell, dude. It's really, really too bad. But there you go. Okay. Let me catch up on these super chats real quick. Base player, thank you for the 5. BGS does procedural generation for everything. I can all but guarantee Elder Scrolls 6 will require DLSS 5 to even run, or some variation of it on AMD stuff for consoles. What I'm still just so curious about is if games start to use DLSS 5 in their trailers, because if they start to do that, because again, it launches later this year, and when it launches later this year, I would imagine NVIDIA is going to really want people to use it. But a game with DLSS 5 stuff on does not look anything like with it off. So I'm genuinely curious how that's going to go, but we'll see. Todd's a believer in it, though, pretty clearly. For us, Moment, thank you for the super chat. I was supposed to go to my annual vacation for a month to my home country, but with the current situation in Dubai, I canceled my plans, and now I'm spending an entire month with Crimson Desert. # Game of the Year. Well, I think you will be amazed at how quickly that month goes by, because it will consume your whole life, and you'll probably still at the end of that month have 100 hours left to go. I think realistically. Let's see. Chill Zone, thank you for that 10 as well. Very generous. Hey, Luke, did you see the new 40K artwork showing the new demon Primarch Perturabo? If he's coming down, or if he's coming, Dorn isn't far behind. Oh, don't. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I have to go to the eye doctor and get new glasses. Also, the new minis look great. Love the streams. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And I had not seen that yet. Hold on. I'm pulling it up. I'm looking at it. Oh, that's pretty badass, dude. That's pretty badass. I may need to get one of those. That's pretty badass. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. Base player, thank you for the 2. I like the suckers. They are Microsoft bought BSG or BGS maybe. And like the suckers, they are Microsoft bought Bethesda Game Studios. Well, they bought ZeniMax, and I think the ZeniMax acquisition was a much better acquisition for them than like Activision was. I think it made a lot more sense. But yeah, the Activision, they bought them for $70 billion to lose like $300 million a year on Call of Duty, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but anyway. West Side Maverick, thank you for the 5. Currently playing Stalker 2 for the first time. Why in the hell would anyone touch Fallout 4 when this exists? It's basically Fallout for adults. Yeah, well, that's one of those games that also raises the bar and expectations, and I think that they just don't have. I'm not sure they're going to be able to meet that standard. Joshua Rose, thank you for the $1. Appreciate you, my friend. Base player, thank you for the 5. Valve can get away with long release windows because they have incredibly high standards and they deliver. BGS, meanwhile, needs mods to fix their games. Well, and that's why I think that stuff used to be quirky and fun. Like a decade ago, not even a decade ago, like 15 years ago, it was like, oh, Bethesda charm. Nowadays, it's just unacceptable. Nowadays, you can't do that. Like, get it together. And then Chill Zone, thank you for the 5. Luke, what 40K armies do you play? Personally, just finished assembling my Norn emissary for my Nids. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. I mainly play like Thousand Suns. I have an Orc army that's really fun. So usually those are like my 2 ones that I primarily play. And I also have some Necrons and Chaos Demons. So I'll bounce around. But my primary, I'd say, is Thousand Suns. Orcs are also really fun because it's fun to just have, you know, dozens of models moving them like that. It's pretty fun. But yeah, Tyranids are really cool too. Really cool. Okay. And then Drawn Out said, Luke, should they adjust the dragons restrictions in CD? Do you mean to like clear zones for them to fly, or do you mean like summon times and stuff? I do think that there's some tweaking that they could do, and I think it'd be fine. I understand that you can't have the dragon like everywhere all the time all at once. It doesn't really make sense. It would break things. Questing would break, boss fights would break. Like, I get that there need to be some restrictions for it to still like work as a video game, but I do think that they could open it up maybe a little bit more. But they also, I mean, they responded to that feedback about the legendary mounts, which if you didn't see that, you can go get a bunch of new legendary mounts you didn't have before, which is really cool. So I've been riding around on a polar bear and it's awesome. It's freaking sweet. But okay. We have a couple of other things I was going to get to, but I have run out of time, my friend. So I'm going to leave it there. until next time, my plan is to try and go live tomorrow as well. So we'll have some more stuff, a little more structure to the stream tomorrow. So buckle up for that. Until then, my friends, much love. Thanks for chilling with me today. Also, Apimuda, thank you for the sub over on Twitch. And then see Sarcastico with 100 bits. We only need IGN to see trailers from new games, not to hear their reviews. Yeah, I think that's how a lot of people use it. And then Mark, also thank you for the sub over on Twitch, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow for our regularly scheduled programming. Until then, my friends, much love. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.